I'm tired.
Aren't we
Tired.
all?
I need to go. I need to sleep. I'm tired.
I
But
couldn't even hide my bags today. It was that bad. But yes, we're here. And that's commitment, isn't it?
it's a lot of commitment.
Totally.
Oh.
In
Almost
spite
not
of.
easy.
In spite of.
It is.
How would they know?
They will never know.
They never know. They will never know.
Issy, how was your day?
It was good. It has been a good one. I can't fault it. Yes, we like Norma usually says, we don't look like what we've been through today.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So yeah, we are here. We're doing what we do best.
Absolutely. So, and there was a resignation. In fact, yesterday, the social media and this morning was just awash by different people dropping resignation letters. Say, Omo,
This
you can really
presidency is
resign
very
in this
serious.
country, you know?
It's a very serious matter.
So we're discussing resignation. Is resignation supposed to be for personal ambition or actually because maybe you have failed in the office that you're occupying? So that's the conversation for today. And here's what we found as today's quote. Some political leaders in the world make big mistakes, but they never resign. Some make a small mistake, but they immediately resign. What makes a political leader to resign or not to resign has something to do with having an honor or not. Those who have honor always choose to the honorable way, and that is resignation. So according to the Vanguard, the president had, as at yesterday, at the yesterday's Federal Executive Council meeting, as a FEC meeting, ordered every member of the council who had ambition to contest elective offices in 2023 general election to resign on or before the 16th of May 2022. And then, since then, we've seen a flood of resignation from the affected parties. So it's our ladies' night out, and Norma, Issy, and I will be discussing government officials, and we're asking this question: should resignation be about ambitions or about performance? And when we open our phone lines, we really love to hear your thoughts on this. But first, let's take a break to see what we found in the news.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. From the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
You are still watching Ways Now. May 12th is observed as International Nurses Day across the world to honor the services of nurses. It is the birth anniversary of Florence Nightingale, the English social reformer, statistician, and founder of modern nursing. She was also known as the Lady with the Lamp. She was the founder of modern nursing and was a British social reformer and statistician. The theme for this year's Nurses Day is Nurses, a Voice to Lead, Invest in Nursing, and Respect Rights to Secure Global Health. Many hospitals across the world are observing International Nurses Week from May the 6th to May 12th. As part of its several activities, including yoga sessions and seminars, are being organized just for the nurses. So, International Nurse Day.
Happy Nurse Day. It's my twin sister's day because She's a nurse, and she's very, I don't know how she's so passionate about a lot of things all at the same time. The way she talks about some of her patients and when she's not on call, on the day she's not on call, it's like, where have you been? You know how African Americans behave.
Because they pay and wear.
Well, not just that.
Normal, listen.
There are people who are doing it
Do you know if she were to be in Nigeria? The passion might be there, but the energy to move on might not be there.
Absolutely,
Because
I agree.
The amount of disrespect we have for our health officials is alarming.
Totally.
People that take care of your health.
So maybe it's the culture here, but we also have people who disrespect people out there. There's some people who are supremacists. So even when they are sick and you are helping them, they still feel they're on top of you. So they make certain derogatory comments, and because you
if the pay is good, you can curse me all you like.
I would say that
some people won't take it.
Nurses Day for me is, I would associate it with retired nurses. My mother-in-law is one, and her twin sister is also one. Yeah, she's a twin. Yeah. So I have two mother-in-laws. So I'll dedicate it to them, especially those who have actually worked in this profession and served in this profession. I think they are quite passionate about it. Even if they are out of it, they still tend to ask you questions that has to do with your health. So
Absolutely.
Yes. So I would give it to the retired nurses.
Yay. And the ones that are still in
yes,
service.
Totally, yes, absolutely.
All right, so let's see what we found in the news. Number, you're going first? Or is your story ready, Isi?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay, go
Thank
ahead
you.
if it is.
All right, my story is on what happened in Sokoto State, and it's a gory story, and it has to do with mob kills College of Education female student and sets body ablaze in Sokoto over alleged blasphemy. And it was stated that the female student, who is a student of Shoshagari College of Education, was beaten, actually. She was beaten to a pulp. And the school authorities tried to rescue her from the mob. What actually started the whole thing was that this young lady actually was asked by her peers in the classroom and said, how come you passed your exams? Usually, what would be your answer? Oh, is God or is Jesus? Thank Jesus, I got it. And that was what actually aggravated everything. And they said she should take her words back. And when she refused to take her words back, of course, it caused an uproar, and everybody came together and attacked her. And she was set ablaze at the end of the day.
Oh my
So
goodness.
just when I
in
was
school.
In school.
Just when I was sitting and trying to, sort out some things, I saw a video that surfaced. Why am I all emotional this week? And it brought back memories because
of what happened in the north.
I've been in the north and I've seen people get burnt alive.
Absolutely.
I've seen people get burnt, and you see, at the end of the day, you see, what's it called, pigs eating their dead bodies and dogs and all of that. So there's a boy on, if they can find it, on, I think it's on Linda Ikeji's blog that I saw it. Yes, I've seen the video where the boy was saying that either Linda Ikeji, but it's on the blog now, where the boy was showing the matchbox.
That was
And
used
yes,
to set her
he said
ablaze.
he was the one that killed her, and he set her ablaze. He said it in Hausa language. Nini nakashita.
Oh my goodness.
The ashana did not. So the ashana is a match. This is the match I used to set her ablaze. So if there is any level of humanness anymore in our leaders, they will fish that boy out.
Yes.
They will fish that boy out, because you
this
see
one has
the
already
level
been
of
programmed.
impunity that
That's
goes on in this
thriving.
country. Like, you think it is okay
It's
for you
thriving.
to take another human being's life, and you have the boldness to go on
step
camera
forward.
to say that this is the matchbox you used. You were the one that set her ablaze.
That is
key thing
one
is this
troubled young
Nigerian-
man.
This is not issue of troubling.
No.
See, let me tell you what
is
laws
of
do.
fanaticism.
You know what?
Of
Hold on,
course.
Issy.
Of course.
Beyond
This
normal
is-
He's been
religion.
programmed to.
This is
the
what
point
laws, right? Laws and implementation of laws does. Even if you have madness, it will curtail your madness.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Because if you know that there is repercussion for the
Absolutely.
actions that you take, that madness will be curbed.
Absolutely.
That somebody has the effrontery and the audacity to go on camera, and he was showing the matchbox, and he was saying that he was the one that killed her.
Somebody's child.
Somebody else's child.
Somebody's daughter.
A citizen
Somebody's
of
sister.
your country.
Oh, he was probably made to believe that he was fighting a good cause.
You see, that's where the mindset still comes into play. How are they thinking? And it's supposed to be an educational institution where they are supposed to have a mind
A lot of
shift.
people go through school, but the school
didn't
doesn't go through them.
Yes, I agree with you. And we also should look at this from another perspective. Isn't Nigeria supposed to be a secular state?
Oh, well,
So
that's
it's not
what
even an issue of
It's a
sex. So
secular
this is a clear example of what we're talking about, failure. Somebody
the
should
system
be,
has
yes.
obviously failed.
Somebody
Because
should
for
say,
things,
no, I have-
acts like this to be performed and nothing has been, it hasn't raised eyebrows enough for an investigation to begin concerning immediately, then there's it's obvious
If the government
that our
cannot
system
find that
has
boy,
failed.
arrest that boy, and charge him for murder, then I know that we are not in a country and we do not have a government. It's as simple as that. No more your story.
Well, my story, just to cool things down a little bit, astronomers revealed the first image of black hole at Milky Way Center. So I went all the way to space at this point because I couldn't even find something that was something worthy to talk about. But today it's interesting that an international team of astronomers unveiled the first image of a supermassive black hole at the center of our own Milky Way galaxy, a cosmic body known as Sagittarius A star. Wow. All right, so astronomers believe nearly all galaxies, including our own, have these giant black holes in their center where light and matter cannot escape, making it extremely hard to get images for them. But this one in particular was interesting because they were able to get images that we can readily see, right? The image produced by a global team of scientists known as Event Horizon Telescope Collaboration is the first direct visual confirmation of the presence of this invisible object and comes 3 years right after that. I think the last time they saw something like that was in 2019, where the very first image of a black hole from a very distant galaxy. So it's interesting that there's a lot of activity going on outside the hustle and bustle of the Earth. And this black hole is, thankfully, it's not close enough because I hear that the gravity, the force around it can literally suck in every single thing within the orbit. So we're thankful that it's far away. The distance, it's distant enough for us to see it, but not have direct impact on the globe, on the world.
So
that's a good
this
one.
Our former Senate President Bukola Saraki. Why I took this story? I just did laugh. Politics.
I saw it.
He says, "Oh, it's not me that said it. That he will build 500,000 housing units annually if elected as president." That's what he's saying. He says, "I will deliver 500,000 affordable housing units annually. I will create a viable platform to protect the African continent. I will be president for all because I represent the Nigerian identity. I will be the bridge between the North, South, Muslims and Christians." That's what he said. So you see these kinds of vague
2023,
promises.
That was the first thing that came to my mind. 2023, we're still having this conversation.
Do you understand? So it's not even only that in 2023 that we're having this conversation. Vague promises like how? So you are talking about 500,000 housing units. How about we talk about people to be able to feed 3 square meals every day? Who are the people that would be able to buy this housing that you're talking about? Are you giving the housing to the people for free? Are they going to be saying, okay, you know what, let us mop up all the homeless people? What's the strategy? What is the current housing deficit that we have today in Nigeria? What are those numbers? You can't just wake up and think it is a feel-good thing to say that you want to build 500,000 housing. We are tired of this kind of promises. It is really ridiculous.
Absolutely.
We need leaders that would say, you know what, XYZ are the problems. Because before somebody will even think of a roof over there, they will first of all think of what to put inside their tummy. It is whoever that is alive that can stay inside a house.
Absolutely.
Right? So what are the current challenges that Nigeria is facing, and how do we mitigate, or how do we bridge that gap? That's the kind of conversation we're having. Don't come with this kind of promises, because this is already dead on arrival. A lot of Nigerians are tired of this kind of promises. I'm just saying this in case future people as aspirants wants to start to come out with this 500. Why? It sounds good to the ears, but 500,000, is that the deficit that we have in terms of housing? That's number one. And number two is, are you giving those houses for free? How many homeless people do we have in this country? How do you intend, to solve those problems?
What's the payback plan?
On that note, maybe we should start to resign. I'm most start the type of resignation letter. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey, what's up, guys? You're welcome to another edition of Plus Event, and I remain your host, Ifeoluwa Oshukeye. Your absence isn't an excuse anymore, as Plus Event is all you need, as we bring you the glitz, the glamour, and loads of fun.
Oh, definitely, right? No question. He's a living legend.
God forbid, Holy Ghost fire, I know.
I just want to be blown away. I want to be wild. This is 11 years of doing it.
I'm surrounded by so much positivity. No, it's okay.
Yo, what's up, my people? It's your boy Starboy Terry. You're watching
Plus Event
on Plus TV.
Stay glued to Plus TV Africa every Saturday and Sunday, 4:30 p.m. West African time.
Thanks for staying with us now. Minister for Transportation, Rotimi Amechi. I think the Minister for Niger Delta, Godswill Akpabio. Labor and Employment, Christine Ngige. Science and Technology, and Innovation, Ogbonnaya Onu. Minister for Education, Emeka Nwajuaba. Justice Minister, Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, are some of the cabinet members that were affected when the president ordered all members of his cabinet and appointees aspiring for electoral offices to resign on or before Monday, the 16th of May, 2022. Others include the Minister of State, Mines and Steel, Uche Oga, who is running for governorship position in Abia State, and the Minister of Women Affairs, Pauline Talen, who declared her ambition to contest for the senatorial seat in Plateau State, right? So Victor Tamhemba, Acting Director, Executive Director of Raising New Voices, said, being in government and pursuing political ambition has a negative influence on governance. He said governance and performance will ultimately suffer as the ministers are busy roving the country, consulting and seeking support for their aspirations, while the primary responsibilities are neglected. This is similar to what elected officials do when they are seeking re-election. At that point, there is the negligence of duty and responsibility as a result of governance. Governance suffers, he added. Now, we are asking a not so obvious question regarding the reason for resignation from political office. And tonight we're asking if resignation of the government officials should be about their ambitions or it should be about their performance. That's the question for tonight. Please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. You can also tweet at us at Wayshow Africa on the hashtag Wayshow. So, this is a very interesting conversation because you know how we always say that in Nigeria you can never find anybody that will say, you know what, I'm done. Only can I even count how many people have resigned to say, you know what, I don't think
non-performance.
I'm not interested in this. This is all no, it's not working for me. This is not what I signed for. This is not what I bargained for. it's not working, I'm not going to hit my targets, you know what, because of that, I just tender my resignation.
Absolutely.
We don't really hear that. But what we hear often is that we say, I wasn't given the chance to execute my duties, but you stay there. You did not say, oh, let me resign and go. Then all of a sudden now, everybody is running for president. Everybody's seeking electoral positions. And it's not commonplace. You just open the news, you see this person resign, this person resign, this person resign. So it just got me thinking that shouldn't resignation, right? Even the president ordering a resignation because they're pursuing. So are you saying that governance is not as important as political ambition? That it is okay for you to put an ultimatum to say resign because you're running for an office, but people that have failed, especially Minister for Education, let me just single that one out. That has failed woefully because we can see what the educational state is like in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
Do you understand? We have seen those kind of failures. So it was not okay for you to say, you know what, you're not doing your job, resign. But because you are running for a political office, then resign. I'm perplexed.
Let me step in by giving us a brief intro into this whole fiasco. I think, what is performance basically? Performance is you having that interest to do your task and perform it without any reservation, isn't it?
Performance is
excellent. To the best of your knowledge and your ability. It could be below standard, it could be above standard, but the bottom line is you have performed the task. How did you perform the task is left for others to actually judge you on it. Now, what about ambition? Ambition is the strong desire for you to achieve something, to get something, basically. So, what is the desire here? Based on what your premise on what motivated our leaders or our individuals who are vying for the position, it is based on the fact that they have this strong desire to achieve their goals, which isn't to perform a task. It is basically to do what? It is basically to achieve their desire, which is to be the president of the country in whatever capacity they can. Now, in this context, would we say that they've gotten some level of principles or some level of honor or some level of integrity in getting their job done? That is left for the people of Nigeria to answer. That is my intro.
And there was a resignation.
I'm thinking, and when I saw that, I'm asking myself, what is the motive? What is this a strategy because I am more focused on my ambition than on performance? And this is what our politicians, I will probably leave for them to answer, even though I'm not sure the majority of them are willing to answer the question. Because what service? When you talk about public offices, you are appointing people who have a desire to perform for its citizens, isn't it? Absolutely. You are serving the people. But from all of this, let me borrow Isi's language, fiasco that is going on. It is obvious that this is all about ambition. Totally. We have a lot of ambitious politicians. Look at the number of people who came out even after the fee was increased to 100 million. You have people willing to stake and call all their groups of friends and associations who are supporting them and funding them with 100 million for a form, a nomination form.
Not the campaign.
And I haven't seen this level of commitment and drive when it comes to your office, whether as the Minister of Labor or the Minister for Education, we haven't seen you being this passionate. And I'm wondering, government officials, you want to resign. What is the motive behind your resignation? I think it's because you have the ambition to become a president. Maybe somewhere in your dreams or in your, your circle of influence, you've been told that you have what it takes to become the president. And I've yet to see who is asking questions. I think it's only the vice president that I've seen put out some write-up about why he has intentions to lead. He's been in government. He understands the terrain, and he believes that now is the right time for him to come out at this level to serve the people of Nigeria. That is his own statement. I'm yet to see any more statements. But from all of this that is going on, it is obvious that any resignation that is going on presently is not because they have the interest of Nigerians at heart. It is not because they want to change the situation of ASU strike or people that have not been paid for months, or the fuel situation, the fuel crisis that is going on, or the
food insecurity.
The food insecurity, general insecurity in the state, Who is saying something about it? Who is doing something about it? When we see what you are doing, and then you say, I think that in this capacity, I can even take it further by becoming your representative in the area of the presidency, then it can make sense to the Nigerian citizen that, yes, we have seen a track record. Yes, we've seen a history that this person means well for the people. But we haven't seen any of that. All we're seeing is resignation so that my political ambition can come to pass.
Hallelujah.
Praise the Lord.
So I took the liberty. My Ebu Omolola, I told her to send me a few resignations that we've seen globally. When you hear government officials resigning abroad, it's a completely different ballgame from Nigeria. So there was one that says the Sri Lanka Prime Minister resigns as government cracks down on protests over economic crisis and gross mismanagement. Yeah. That's one. 4 Russian government officials resign as war included sanctions bite. Sri Lanka Prime Minister, okay, I think I talked about that one, resigned, including 4 lawmakers. And there's one that struck me. UN, the head of UN agency, resigns as questions arise about loans. So you hear that there is a shady deal going on, some kinds of underground conversations and all of that. And you just see the person say, I'm resigning, I'm all of that. But you see, when this resignation started happening in Nigeria, first of all, I was shocked that they can actually resign. Somebody can actually type a resignation letter in this country. Yeah. It's not possible. It's either you are kicked out or you're not re-elected and all of that. Yeah. But it now got me a lot more worried. So the fact that you haven't performed all these years did not even prick your mind to say, you know what, I think I've failed. This was not what I promised when I was going into this office. So for that singular reason, I want to step back. That did not come up. Every resignation that we're seeing now is because somebody somewhere wants to pursue a political ambition. Some have even refused to resign. Do you understand?
The governor of Ebonyi State,
I
believe, he had some law case, and he was still, he said he would still be governor in spite of, and he has a pending case in court.
So you see, that's where another thing, that's where I talked about, if you recall what I said earlier, I talked about integrity, honor, and principles. If you do not have the principles, which I think, in quote, that it is questionable in terms of our political class. If you do not have the principle, would you have the interest to actually step down because of the fact that I did not perform, because of the fact that my track record is not speaking for me? integrity also comes to play.
Of course.
It plays a huge
course.
role. And we know that this is totally lacking in the political class.
Mm.
So they cannot be, they won't have that conscience that, oh, I didn't perform my task up to par and I didn't do my job. And let's look at the educational sector, for example. You know, the educational sector is
ASUU is on strike.
Is on a total
A
downward
whole
spiral.
minister for education, you are resigning.
Where did
Say
they
you want to go and
Labor.
pursue
Minister for Labor as
yes,
well.
You are resigning that you want to go and pursue, what's it called, a political ambition. Labor minister is resigning to pursue a presidential race.
Yes.
People have been on strike. What is the future of any nation? Go and check the educational sector.
Oh, yes.
If you see how good the educational sector is, you would know that, okay, this country has a future. As it stands today, what is our future as a country? Then we are now seeing, I mean, so much resignation, but it's not because I failed at my point, my line of duty.
Yes.
But no, it's because I want to pursue another political. So should we even trust these people?
In the first place.
Can we even trust them?
They're telling you that when you've trusted them with little, so when you entrust them
like
with much more,
with Williams Chambers video.
when you entrust them with much more, they will perform. It is unfortunate, and I'll piggyback off Isi said, because of integrity. Our politicians or leaders lack integrity. First and foremost, when one resigns, like you rightly said, it's because I have failed on the promises that I have said, or the things that I said that I will be able to do within the time frame of my appointment. And where I see that I have failed, then that means I am not worthy to occupy this office or this position. And the honorable thing to do in honorable climes
is to step down.
Is to be able to step down. At least with a sense of, what's the word?
Dignity.
The little dignity that is left of you. You just respect yourself and calm down.
I think there is a
But
lady
no,
that.
we like it from all of the theatrics that have been seen. It's obvious that our people have no shame. You know, you say something and now it makes sense, a whole lot of sense to me. You can't shame the shameless.
You can't, no way.
You cannot shame the shameless. As long as, for the effrontery to step out to say, vote for me as president.
Shamelessly.
When you are given an appointment which you woefully failed to perform your duties in. How would you expect, and I mean, it just still
some
ties
argue
back.
that they have performed.
In their minds. Is it not the people that will give you that feedback? How do you give yourself feedback that I have done well? Feedback as a Toastmaster. Feedback, we say, is the breakfast of champions. Yeah. When I give a speech, am I the one going to tell myself that, yes, I did well? No, I have to hear from somebody else because there are what they call blind spots. There are areas that I may not be able to see well, that somebody from where they are, their perspective can see clearer than myself. And they'll be able to tell me, oh, you missed it in here, in A, B, and C.
Absolutely.
But I will finish and I will tell myself, oh, I did an amazing job. And that's it. That my word is final. Then how can we make progress when we cannot? I mean, at this point, I even want to applaud to an extent when Governor Fashola there was this panel that he used to have where even children, people would ask questions. I don't.
Town hall?
Yes, the town hall meeting where people can ask questions. Okay, what are you, as in this area, these are the areas we're having problem. What have you done about it? And then he takes up all of that, and then he goes back to the drawing board. Say, okay, what are we doing? So that by the next town hall meeting, we have
a report.
To give the people to say, okay, this is how far we've gone. We are not expecting you to accomplish all of your plans 100%. But like my father would say, be seen to be trying.
On that note, let's take a break. I want to open our phone lines. Please, I want to hear your thoughts on this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, so if you just tuned in, it's our ladies' night out. It should be seen to be trying. And we are discussing government officials. So, should resignation be about ambitions or performance? And please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 803-84663. You can also tweet at us at Wayshow after one with the hashtag Wayshow. And our phone line is now open. The number to call is 07025007749. That's the number to call. Do ensure, please, turn off the volume of your television set so we can hear ourselves. You know, you see what that writer said when I was introducing the topic, when he talked about distractions, right? Yeah. Even before, see, if you even notice, right, it's 2023 that the election, governance stopped in 2021.
Totally.
Because you see what politicians do, they plan 2 years ahead stretch for the next election. We already know that governance is suffering as it is today. Anything you're doing is almost at a halt because everybody's energy and everything is focused on 2023, the general elections, right? Yeah. Already that is even suffering. Then you now come and crown it with the insult, like it's like pouring salt on an open wound, right? You haven't even done your job. You know, most of the people that are coming out to say they want to run for elective offices, most of them have questions to answer when it comes to the performance.
So they hide under the guise
of their the job that was given to them, their job description, right? And you then wake up and say that it's like you know how it. I don't know how it feels. Like you know that I have failed so well. Then now. So your resignation was not because I didn't do well. Your resignation is because I want to now go further for another position so that we would elect you.
So what does that tell us?
Wow, that's boldness.
And that's selfishness too.
No, it's boldness.
It's also selfishness.
They will not tell you it's selfish.
Because why is it selfishness? Because it is not about what the people want. It's not about service. It's not about the people. It's all about them. And at the end of the day, like I stated earlier, principles and
so what's the way forward
also comes
while we're talking about this matter? Because you see, even with the people that are current governors of states that are picking up forms to say they want to run for presidency and all of that, that one in itself is an issue because the governance of that state is on hold. A lot of those states are suffering, in terms of governance-wise. Because the truth is, your attention, and that's the truth about politics, your attention is drawn. You have to do a lot of visitations. You have to do a lot of consultations. You have to. So what is happening, to those people that are currently like governors and all of that that say they picked up forms to run for elections? Everything is suffering. So how do we draw? Where do we start to draw this line? And if at all there would be a resignation, right? Where do we as a people start to demand those kinds of resignation?
We as a people. Are we as a people? The question here is, I feel that we need to understand that we as a people, we need to come together and understand the dynamics of governance and our political leaders. Like Dr. We had him on the show. He said that the leaders are our servants. They are supposed to be leading us and serving us at the same time. So we need to understand that they are answerable to us, not the other way around. Where did they get the monies from that they're using? Where did they get the monies from?
Their committee of friends.
Committee of friends, in quote. And another thing we should also take into cognizance is this, that we should be mindful of where I'm losing my trail of thought. But we should be mindful of the fact that these people do not have our interest at heart.
Absolutely.
We should be totally
Their
mindful
actions already say that.
Yes.
Let me take our first caller for the evening, Dr. Adewoye from Adamawa State. Wow. That's a far place. Thank you for calling. You're live. Go ahead.
Yes. Following the trend of this president's directive for the ministers to resign. In the first instance, they're supposed not to even wait for the president to give the directives.
The ultimatum.
they're supposed to know the right thing to do. If they are confident of themselves, they should resign. And then put themselves forward. If they are credible enough, then they will be put in. And as all of us know, most of these people that are coming up, many of them are not credible. But let's put our hands and see, cross our fingers and see what is going to happen. We hope the best for this country.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Adewale.
We cannot fold our hands.
You're saying, he's saying something. I think only very few people had resigned before the president gave that directive, right? Yes. I think, I can't remember who and who now, but I knew. Yeah, I knew some had resigned before that directive came. But I'm even saying that, even the president himself, let's come back to the president, right? As a leader, even if the people, because they say that these guys are not in touch with the citizens, you're not in touch with the reality and all of that. But you are feeling, you're feeling the pulse of the people. And, in some sectors, especially education. No, because it is really, really hurting. Education has the capacity.
Really feeling the pulse of the people?
Education has the capacity to transform any human being.
Totally.
Because it is knowledge that eventually gives you the capacity to be able to earn, and become valuable to yourself and to your society, right? So even if nothing, let's focus on two things, healthcare and education. We've seen that there is consistency in the failure of whoever is supposed to be in charge of those ministries.
Yeah.
You as a president, you did not call for the resignation of those people while they was busy. Now, how many months are we going on for the ASU strike? I think 3 months or something.
Yeah.
You didn't call for a resignation. But because now they are running for an elective office, like does it not even tell us that we are in a much bigger mess? That you didn't see any reason to ask these people to leave that office so you could put a credible person. But it is because they are running for political office? Maybe I'm the one overthinking this.
But recently, it was in the news too that the son who is representing the president who is asking for 6 months,
that son should just hold his thoughts.
His tenure to be extended
so that
he can fight. So that he can tackle
Thank you for bringing that up. We are coming back. Let me take youngest old man. Thank you for calling.
Yes, good evening.
Hi, youngest old man.
How are you?
I'm good.
Welcome. Thank you.
All right, that's good. Now we're done, eh?
Thank you.
You see, I just want to personally tell you some things that you don't understand. This country now cruise, you understand? We're just enjoying the ride. Anyhow, no matter how the driver bad reach, the destination will be focused on. A country where the leaders of tomorrow have been prepared, while the followers of tomorrow too have been prepared. At least now, if you watch, as is on strike, some people they somewhere they are picking the school, and then be the leaders of tomorrow. Those where they on strike, and then be the followers of tomorrow. No one like incapacitation. I rather they speak the English on the roll call. You see, it pains me a lot when you force people to do the right thing. You understand? I really envy the guy that resigned 3 months ago. Is it since April or something like that, according to the president? I envy his energy, and he knows what he wants. But some people with the critical time that we are in this country, you understand? And somebody is still busy paying 100 million naira to buy form. Why the place you are heading? Let's assume now I'm a blind man and they tell me to go and vote. I will now come and vote somebody that even practically where you are leading as a leader per se, is having crisis. You know, I don't know what that means. It's just like when your house is on fire, you are going to a neighbor's house to catch rats or something like that. You know, sometimes it baffles me in this country. I don't even know if at all they are in tune to another TV. They watch another thing, not what we see on daily basis. So these things, it makes me go somehow. And you know, yesterday you guys were talking about Genevieve and so on, and I'm like, in this country, if you are normal, you are not normal. You can't be normal in this country. If you are normal in this country, you are not normal as an individual, because basically a lot of things is even making me go mad in this country. It's things are happening. Look at, okay, you know, they've technically forgotten those Kaduna plane, whatever thing. And the guy in charge that's supposed to even resign is buying form. You understand? So things happen in this country that when I check other countries, I just be like, God, what is your plan for us? Can you just give us a just simple vision of what you have for us in the future, so that people like us will not lose hope?
Thank you so much.
Seriously, this country now cruise. The thing no sweet at all.
It is
what
well.
is happening, Sha? We now have the one at the trial a bit, and they force my small.
Thank you, youngest old man. You know, youngest old man, they talk about destination. At this rate, will we have a destination when we continue like this, where everybody thinks I can do anything and, you know,
get away with it?
Get away with it. Because that's basically what you're saying, right? Because you talked about that son that was asking for a 6-month extension for the president so that he could, you know, finish the...
what he hasn't
done for 8 years.
8
like,
years.
So, okay, so what are the parameters? You know what? Let's even calm down. Is it that our parameters for success, do you understand, or failures, our parameters as for performance, is it that it's so bad? Because some people would resign at the very second or third month when they see that the thing is not working. But let me take Solomon from Abuja, then I'll come back to you ladies. Thank you for calling. Solomon, you're live. Go ahead, you're live.
Yeah, I'm Solomon, calling from Abuja.
Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, you are live. Go ahead,
Okay,
Solomon.
okay. This issue there, they still trying you. Like serious. I'm talking like serious about this ASO strike. Like the other guys are saying, when the students are on strike, the president does not even order those people, like the Minister of Education, to resign if anything that is happening like this. He did not say anything about it, but now that he has put in place on become a president, is the time that he's asking them to resign. Well, I know it's right. He's supposed to tell them to resign, but the next time that he's supposed to ask them to stop, he refused to ask them to resign. What kind of country we live in that matter?
Thank you.
If I just done like this, the time of the things like that.
Thank you so much, Solomon. Thank you, Solomon. The voice, the feedback is really is a lot. So for me, I don't even know where to go from this, because what are the parameters for performance? What are the parameters for success? How do we say that this particular thing, this person has succeeded in their deliveries? What are their KPIs? I believe they call them. No, not KPI. Their job description. Yeah. Maybe if we check what they were given to do, maybe that's exactly what they did in those offices. Because if you want to key performance, yes, indicators. Sorry, the KPIs. I was right.
KPI, yes.
The key performance indicators for each ministry, for instance, what are they, and what is their score points on those? But let me take Michael. I think we have another. Today is today. Michael, you're live. Please go ahead.
I can see that opportunity has been presented for us as Nigerians to decide our fate again. We had the opportunity last 4 years, last 8 years, and we actually missed it out. But this time around, another opportunity has been presented. So I think everybody should actually, stand up to this reality. Now, what should we do to salvage this situation? Because hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. So to salvage this situation, so that we don't find ourselves in another mess again for the next 4 years. As Nigerians, we have our PVC in our hands to vote the right people that have the pedigree, the clear record, the people of questionable characters who can stand the test of time and understand that governance is about delivering good service to the citizenry, not about embezzling money, not about selfish and personal interest. So these are things that we need to understand. That we have to decide our fate now as Nigerians. A critical issue was raised at the floor of the National Assembly about electronic voting. which would have been a viable platform of preventing electoral malpractice. So that which would have been a viable platform of preventing rigging in elections. And that thing died down. That critical issue died down at the floor of the National Assembly. And Nigerians never did anything about it. And we have rights, like there should be a kind of referendum where the citizens can vote to decide a particular issue and say, okay, this is what we want. These people that are there, we put them there. We voted them there. We elected them there. So they don't call representative democracy.
But what are the, so thank you so much. Thank you, Michael. So that's the question I'm asking, that what are the KPIs that we're expecting from these people in their ministries? Because if we do not even know what they are supposed to be doing, how do we then call for their resignation? Because I feel in answering this question, resignation should be based on the fact that you under-delivered.
On your performance.
Do you understand?
If I may add to that, Uwa, we need, I think, education, but not the formal education, maybe even in the formal sector. In the formal setting, we need to educate Nigerians, right? People who know, how much of it are you talking about? In your conversations, how are you educating and enlightening people about their choices, about the politicians or leaders who are aspiring to come up to be their next group of leaders? In the markets, when we're having these conversations, this should be an everyday engagement. I don't know how they picked it out of our education system, where history, we no longer have history where we can tell young people to say, these were people who failed us in the past. These were the things that happened. This was what happened. This and these are the, so that in the future they can ask the right kind of questions. So when we're engaging, it's very important that we begin, and every Nigerian, and this I'm saying to every Nigerian, every conversation that you're having, talk about it. If you know what the right thing is, educate people. There are a lot of people who don't understand these things. They think it's only, oh, when they send them rice and this and that. I was listening, I don't know if I mentioned that, I was listening to a radio station, and they were asking the question, what is your vote worth? And people were saying, oh, if they pay me 500 million now, somebody said 500,000. People were putting, some have said that they've even sold their votes. That's how bad the situation is. But when people understand, it is not just about selling your vote. The implication, when you sell the vote, this is, you are selling the future of generations.
So the question I'm asking is, when should we start to shout to say, you know what, you are not performing? Because you see, the common theatrics in politics in this country is that if a new dispensation comes in now, like tomorrow now, even if it's under the same party that they re-elect the president, you say, it was the previous administration. They begin to do blame. They use one whole year up to 2 years to be doing blame game. No, it's not damage. Blame game.
Blame game, yeah.
That it was because of this person, this one, you know, and all of that. And because we see this play out all the time. So if we want to start to hold our leaders accountable and want to hold them based on performance, right? How do we even go about it as a people?
I don't know. He made mention of a referendum. Sorry, if I may quickly come in there. I mean, there are these things that they sign up, petitions that they sign up. I think maybe
those things work in this country.
Some of them do. It's how often, how consistent, how persistent are we? It still boils down to education. If people do not know that they have power, as little as signing a petition saying, this is not what we want, and we are able to present it in court to say, so number of millions of people have said that enough is enough about this particular situation. But because they do not know, and there's nobody talking about it, then what continues to cry will continue to cry.
Let me hear your thoughts.
Mama has said the main thing, which is awareness. Awareness plays a huge role in all of this. If we are not aware of the job description
and the rights that we have as a people,
the KPI of each
political
appointee, as well as we knowing our rights as individuals or as the electorate. Thank you. As electorate, we will continue to make the same mistake. However, we also need to understand this, that we have a government that would stand for us when we stand for ourselves. If we do not stand for ourselves as a people, then they will not listen to us.
Absolutely.
So we need to step up on our
Mama,
game.
you have a comment.
Yes, I do have a comment. It says, "Good evening, my dear beautiful sisters of what are you saying ways. Concerning government officials resigning, it should be about performance. Anyone that is ineffective in an office should be advised to resign, whether they like it or not. It should be done with honor and dignity to command respect." Sister Norma said it all. We cannot shame the shameless.
Yes.
Because people think that it has to be them and no one. It is not a do or die affair. Take, for instance, another case of the Minister of Education resigning to pursue his political career. It is wrong. Now, ASU is on strike, which is wrong if the minister is doing his job well. Education and healthcare is very vital. What pains me is that the youths are at home instead of at school. Sister Uwa, nice to see you smile again. I missed it yesterday. My name is Daniel Ilo, Ways regular fan. Thank you so much, Daniel.
Okay, so I was just going to say that, you remember there was a bill that was passed in, Abi was, how did they say that thing, in the House, that
Yes.
somebody was suggesting that, please, let's ensure that all political appointees and everybody, they make sure that their children school in Nigeria. Where is that
bill
today? They threw it out, you know. So it means that we really don't have, but Isi, you have a final comment, and let's wrap up this conversation.
Okay, just a minute. Let me dig it out. All right, and it says, just a minute. Okay, good evening, ladies. I want to appreciate you all for all your efforts, intriguing topics, and contributions. Concerning today's topic, I think there should be a policy that bans every government officials from contesting any position. You just said it all.
That one no go work. Who is that? That one no go work.
But you know, however,
quickly, we have run out of time.
Yes, it
Go ahead.
is in the Civil Service Commission that no federal, official is allowed to actually contest for any kind of
Absolutely.
political position if you are still in office. So
Mhm.
we are supposed to have stepped out
before.
before.
All right, thank you so much, ladies. Thank you to everyone that contributed. Now, before we go, ensure you follow us on Instagram at Wayshow Africa, on Twitter at Wayshow Africa 1. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and more importantly, follow all our engagements on social media. If you missed today's quote, here it is again. Some political leaders in the world make big mistakes, but they never resign. Some make a small mistake, but they immediately resign. What makes a political leader to resign or not to resign has something to do with having an honor or not. Okay. Those, I'm trying to find where I stopped. Honor or not. All right. We'll see you tomorrow. At least you read it. Bye.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. From the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
sees it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Today on The Breakfast, reactions to the burning and killing of a female student of the Shehu Shagari College of Education in Sokoto State, Deborah Yakubu, over alleged blasphemy.
Also on The Breakfast, we will bring you up to speed with the latest gist in the exciting world of sports.
And like always, we will be reviewing the biggest stories making headlines across national dailies. Good morning. Thanks for joining us on The Breakfast and Plus TV Africa. I am Justin Akadonye.
And I am Messi Bopo. It's beautiful Friday morning. I hope you're having a great Friday already. I am...
Yes, Fridays are like the best day in the work week, and you're reminded, like I always say, that the weekend is just around the corner, and you can, just let down your hair, wear wonderful dresses and go to the beach and just have fun. For women, that is.
Well, you might necessarily, when you talk about those who are in the business of rendering essential services and
you always say as if you don't have a life, Mercy.
I don't.
You don't have a life.
Does it look like
you
I
have
a life?
to make something out of the life that we have or that we live somehow.
So this is exactly what we're doing, and it's a Friday morning. It feels really great to be back on your screen. So as always, we'll start off with the top trending conversation.
Yes, we'll start off with top trending. Incidentally, it is actually one of the topics we will be discussing today. It happened just late yesterday in Sokoto State. It is a very sad incident. A female student of the Shehu Shagari University in Sokoto State was burnt and was killed, and she was beaten and burned to death because she allegedly committed blasphemy. Maybe she made nonsense of the name of the prophet, Prophet Muhammad, and the students, they didn't take it lightly on her, and they took the laws into their hands and allegedly beat her up and burnt her to death.
So I saw that video yesterday, and it just made a lot of nonsense. It messed with my mind, that's the word to say, and I'm going to try as much as I can not to be emotional, right? But if you look at that video, according to the reports that we're getting, is that she had made comments, she had objected in the class. Usually with the WhatsApp group, social media, and so you have to create a group for a certain purpose. So the class had created a group maybe to communicate concerns, lecture time, whatever is going to happen if you have an announcement and you're unable to reach people. You know how school administration can be and how to, reach out to one another. So I'm sure that it's something that's common for those who had gone through the university, especially at the time where social media is a plus, right? So according to the reporters that she had mentioned, she had raised concerns about leaving the group specific for the purpose it was created. That would mean let's not post religious stuff. And religious, when we talk about religious or religion now, would not necessarily mean a certain religion, but it would just mean don't post anything about religion. The group was created for it. And trust me, and I know that you are in one WhatsApp group or the other, it can really be frustrating sometimes. For someone like me, I you can really find me being very active in those groups because it can be energy sapping. But whatever the case may be, it's something that's been going on for a long time, and that's generated a lot of controversy. How do we become one? One of the problems that we're faced with as a people is the fact that religious intolerance, and so we cannot tolerate ourselves. But we need to understand that you are Justin, I am Messi, and it's okay that you believe in Judaism, whatever it is that you believe in, you're a traditionalist, and it's fine that that's what you believe in. I should be able to respect that. And we can work together despite our religious differences, and that does not change anything. Now, I always say that before we begin to tilt ourselves to, I am, in a certain religion, I am a traditionalist, I am a Christian, I'm a Muslim, Judaic, whatever it is you want to call it. First, you're a human being. And our humanity is in question. The question of humanity in Nigeria, it's a strong one. We constantly question our humanity. We ask ourselves, are we even a people? How do you even get to a point where you now say you belong to a certain religion, you have to defend a certain God that you have not seen, but you have a human being that you can see, and then you act in this kind of, horrible and very barbaric way towards that human being? I keep asking all the time that what religion would promote such kind of violence? And a lot of people say, okay, so yes, the Quran, you read the Quran, there are different interpretations to it, and so you can not really tell. But when you read what it is, there's nowhere that, those who actually are proponents or those characters who represent this different religion would promote this kind of violence. And so what happened is barbaric. It's totally, there's no justification for taking the laws into our hands.
And they even had the effrontery, as you saw in that video. One of them was even saying that he killed her, that look at the matchbox. You can imagine, I used it in setting her ablaze, just like that. And they're not even bothered, and they even made a video out of it. As in they are not even remorseful about their actions. They just feel they are doing the right thing.
But just before we move away from this now, and like you have said, you can see the video, you can see the bragging, you can see all of that. Now, it feels like you have a country where religion has taken over. Religion now dictates the public policy. Religion now becomes a thing. So we have laws, but it feels like our laws are useless because we have religion, to the other hand, that constantly puts us on the other side of the divide. And I constantly ask, do we live in Nigeria? Is Nigeria a country where you have this religion promoting violence? And if religion is promoting violence, isn't it the right of the government to look into it? If you look at the Constitution, the Constitution already provides for, a secular system and a system that incorporates a Sharia law. And so let's even say that Deborah Yakubu actually blasphemed a religion, and she said anything. The customary system prohibits blasphemy by section 204 of the Nigerian Criminal Code section. We talked about that section 204 entitled Insult to Religion. But so it's okay to say yes, because we live in a country where you have a constitution adopting, another. It's like you have one country but different laws, in some area. But does it really talk about taking the laws into your hand?
No,
now, death, mother is mother, and these persons who have even, come out to own it up. They have actually owned it up that, hey, I killed. Now, let's quickly, Justin, I'm heartbroken because if you see the press statement that's been put out by the ministry, a certain ministry, I like to read this press statement that's been put out. It's been signed, and he said, it comes to the notice of the Sokoto State government that the unfortunate incident that took place at the Shehu Shagari College of Education, Sokoto, which a student of the college lost her life. The government has ordered the immediate closure of the college. That's what you have. Already the state governor, Honorable Aminu Waziri Tambuwal has directed the Ministry of Higher Education and relevant security agencies in the state to commence investigation into the remote and immediate cause of the incident and report back to the government. Meanwhile, the governor Aminu Waziri Tambuwal has called on the people of the state to remain calm and maintain peace as the government would take appropriate action on the findings of the investigations by relevant authorities. How do you even explain this kind of press release, you know, from the one that I have? I mean, this statement, how do you explain it that we're going to investigate the immediate cause, when you have people who have owned up to say, I am responsible, I killed the lady, I am the one. What sort of investigation are you talking about? You say you want to find out.
Ordinarily, even if it has been confirmed, the police still
it's not the police who made this statement, it's the government.
I know, yeah, the governor did, because in fact he has to put out a statement, he has to condemn it, and of course the police has to do, its job. But one thing that actually came out of all of this is that as much as condemnations have trilled this development, politics have been brought into it. The former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who is aspiring to become president for next year, he put out a statement condemning the act, and voila, all of a sudden he had to delete the posts he made on Facebook and of course on Twitter, because he was threatened by these Muslim group that if he dared, that they would not support his ambition in 2023, and the next thing, his posts were removed.
Definitely. I mean, a personal interest would always be a thing, but that's what we're saying. If you look at the press release, let's look at it. The evidence is very eminent at this point in time. Yesterday, we talked about capital punishment by hanging, and because it is. And of course, you have the law backing capital punishment. Some people have queried whether it's effective or not. But in this statement, you're asking, you want to find out the immediate cause of it when you already know the immediate. I mean, it's like a statement. We're not saying you shouldn't investigate, but no one has actually heard the point where we say those who are responsible, those people in the video should be arrested. No, but it hasn't stated.
No, the police actually threw out a statement as well, and they mentioned one of the guys who was in the video. I think he has been arrested, but then they still have to do their investigation, because it might just be beyond just that guy. There might be several people. That's why they said immediate and remote causes. It might not just be only just what we saw in the video.
But you also have some
factors have to be
you have a
section
of the country who's saying that the Sokoto government cannot and does not want to incur the wrath of the Izala movement and their terrorist allies.
Well, the government has to know that it's not just about Muslims living in the state. We also have Christians
you're not even waiting to hear this section, because there are a group of persons who are saying we don't expect anything from this. And Justin, you want to bet, you want to actually say, hey, I dare you that there's anything that's going to happen with this, because this is a kind of society that we live in. And so this section is saying that the Sokoto government cannot and will not want to incur the wrath of the Izala movement and terrorist allies. So it cannot directly condemn the act of terror, hence that's why you have that paraphrasing. If you look at that paraphrasing, as much as we're saying, it's okay to say there's going to be an investigation, of course that's protocol, but look at the content of the letter. How do you even put out that kind of letter?
That's why we have opposing voices, because in as much as the government might not come out to want to say those who perpetrated the crime will be brought to book and all of the killings and condemning it in its entirety, the fact is that we have people, we have Nigerians, we have social media, we have the Christian body. I don't want it to be like a war between the Christian and the Muslim.
Is it the responsibility, Justin, is it the responsibility of Christians and social media to arrest, to ensure that those who commit murder,
to ensure that everyone in the state is safe? Be you a Christian, be you a Muslim, be you a traditional believer, whatever faith that you practice, it is the responsibility of government to ensure that your life is, safe at every point in time.
And so what does the Constitution talks about murder? Because it's a case of murder. It doesn't matter any justification, that's what we're talking about here. What court are we talking about here? We're saying that the police, so we are beginning to say that let's call on the Christian groups, let's call on the Muslims, let's call on, social media is there, there, all of that is there. For what exactly? When you have the police as, you know, an agent of government,
so the police would have to
whose responsibility is there to ensure that the lives and properties are protected. We're talking about murder. The Constitution is very explicit. The criminal code talks about murder.
There is a process in law. If there is a murder, you have to do investigation and bring it to court. And at the end of the day, they have done jungle justice. They have killed someone. They have taken the laws into their hands. But two wrongs will not actually make a right. The fact is that the law would actually, you know, find its day at the end of the day.
So if the law is going
let's move on, Mercy, because
we
have two other stories.
If the law is going to find its place, do we now begin to relegate the position of relevant governments?
Government still has its responsibility to ensure that lives and property are safe. Be you Christian, be you Muslim, whatever faith you decide to practice, the government has failed in its responsibility and duties if it doesn't secure the life of every resident in their state.
And so what's the essence of now saying, let's leave it to Christians, let's call on Christians?
No, it's just part of it now, because you're talking about an Azela group and all that. Maybe the government might just want to dance to their tune. But at the end of the day, we have other people who would also oppose. That's why I mentioned that. But let's just move on. So because of time, we have other things trended. The ASU strike is still on, and students blocked some major roads just yesterday, demanding that, you know, ASU and government reached their agreement, and actually they have to go back to school because it is becoming more like a broken record. Messi, we'll talk about this issue because we know what the issues are. We've talked about this over and over again. At the end of the day, the students are the ones suffering, and they are coming out to protest that they blocked the Ife-Ibadan road. But I wonder how far this protest will go. They have blocked the road, so I don't know. Are they continuing again today? Is government even feeling the pulse of all of this?
We have no idea. I mean, if government is feeling the pulse of all of this, then there would probably be some form of compromise. We already understand the argument, the back and forth with the government and also ASU. The bone of contention, you have the fact that agreement was actually met in 2009
13 years
and
after.
Redefined or reviewed, whatever you have it, has not been implemented. And on the other hand, you have government saying, oh, we don't have the resources to meet up with the demands of ASU at this point. Implementation is a lot. But it brings us back to the thinking and thoughts that at the time the United States of America in 2015, prior to 2015, had made out this argument and postulated that Nigeria is a failed state that's going to be break up. But if you look at the characteristics of a failed state, then all of this display is really, it brings you back to the reality that, it's really a failed state. And that's what's going on. When we constantly say, and that's like a phrase, a global phrase, that education is the backrock of every nation, but it doesn't look, it doesn't really even look like that's the case. So yes, we are.
It's not a priority to
and
our
so we are.
government
If this is, look at that. So the roads are blocked, and you know what that would mean? Economic activities will slow down. Resources, it would slow down everything. Maybe for a
money
day,
is a bit lost.
whether or not it's going to be for a week. Imagine that this happens for a week straight on. So it's going to reduce the productivity of that state. A lot's going to go on. The country, the economy is going to lose money, and people are just going to lose out on all of that. And because we are wasting time. So what exactly is the issue? Why can't we get to a point where we say we pay priority to the educational sector? We talk about the budgetary allocation. We look at the infrastructure. Move around the entire country and look at the state of our universities. Can that compete with global standard? No.
We can't.
You look at some of the provisions that are being made. You talk about some of the provisions that are being made for those who want to apply for, they want to apply for an experience for education outside of the country. You find the rating, if you look at the ratings, top 50. Nigeria, sometimes we don't even meet top 50. How many universities get to top 50? So it's really saddening. And the question would be, is it that we don't understand? Is it that we don't know what we should do?
We know the right things, we just don't want to do the
How
right
many times
thing.
have you found people from outside of Nigeria? And let's not even go outside of Nigeria too far, because when we talk about outside of Nigeria, we want to talk about the United States, the United Kingdom. But let's stay with West Africa. Let's stay with Africa and West Africa. Let's talk about Ghana. How many times have have we really sat back and hear the people from Ghana would say we want to come and school in Nigeria?
Nigerians are actually going to Ghana to school because they know that our educational system is actually flawed. And like you said, we know the right things. I don't know why we are not doing the right things, because at the end of the day, just tells us that the government does not really take priority when it comes to education, and it does not really matter to them. Because if it does matter to them, would not be having this lingering, protracted crisis over the years. It's been 13 years, and then it's really not something, it is really shameful, if you ask me, that we're still going back and forth concerning this issue of ASUU and the federal government agreement. Away from ASUU, just the other day, we talked about Adamu Garba II and how he had withdrawn from the race of the All Progressives Congress, that's the presidential race, and he cited the fact that the 100 million naira is actually exploitative, and he's in the news this time around, and he is apologizing to the youth. He has joined another party, and he was quoted as saying that he's been, quote and unquote, baptized.
To which party?
Mercy, you're asking me.
No,
he's left All Progressives Congress.
So all of a sudden, it's swift for him to be part of another party. Dear Nigerian youth, I write to sincerely apologize for any of my actions or inactions that may have affected our relationship over time. Though inexcusable, I took this action due to following reasons. Littering's not quite bold. I'm sure that you can find that tweet on, his Twitter handle, verified Adamu Garba II. That's what you find there. But he's apologizing that he's decamping. I mean, it's normal. Do we need any apology? I mean, to Nigerians, it's just a normal practice.
But he's joining the youth party, Young Progressive Party.
Is that why he's apologizing to Nigerian youths? Because he's young.
Yes.
Nigerian politicians just make me laugh every other time. You see, we live in a climate where, if you look at the politics that has dominated the scene over time, is that you have, you look at our political parties. The question is, do we practice a political party? Do you have political parties that are ideologically driven? That's the question.
No,
so if you have an ideology, for instance,
ideology,
if I believe in a certain,
they don't have.
If I believe in a certain thing, the rules.
You believe in it, yes. You don't just.
You
don't waver left and right just because some issues.
Or not, whether my interest
exactly. And he has removed the APC flag from what we hear from his office.
He shouldn't be trusted. People like this should not be trusted.
Mercy.
Oh, that's the honest truth. You can't trust people who. Let's not
defame him. Okay.
No, it's not that issue. But when you look at people who, we talk about integrity here. It's a matter of integrity, and there's nowhere we're going to try to sugarcoat all of this and begin to say, oh, not. It's an issue of integrity that we're looking. You cannot trust someone who says, I'm with you today, and because it's not going well with you today, because your interests have not been met, and then you look for another option. So you can't stay. You would always be jumping the gun. I mean, you just be moving from one point to the other, looking for where your interests can actually be served. That's what it is. So what is the guarantee that eventually he becomes a flag bearer that Nigerians should throw their weight behind him? Can he be trusted when the storm comes? Because it's his interest. So people would always tilt to where their interests are, but not necessarily following the ideology of the party. If you belong to a certain political party, people would say it doesn't matter whether or not your interest is there. When you support the party, you believe what the party stands for. So what does all of this political party, what do they stand for?
They don't have any particular ideology, like you have rightly pointed out. Today they are part of APC. They moved to PDP and come back to APC. When their interests are not met, they just want to look for another party, maybe a Labour Party or YPP in this particular scenario. At the end of the day, it's about who can actually propagate their own gospel, and the issue of, like you said, trust is brought to the fore, and they need to start answering some questions from Nigerians, and Nigerians should be the wiser, knowing what they want and the antecedents of this politician. They should know that at the end of the day, the decision will be theirs to make. So they should not waver. They should not be wavered by what people say or apologies and statements that are made just to make some people stay in some good image and all that. But hey, we wish him all of the best in his pursuit. That's as much we'll take on Top Trending for this. Why were you giving me that look?
Yeah.
You don't wish him the best?
everyone, we all wish ourselves the best.
Yes, we do.
And on the show, we wish ourselves the best as we continue the conversation up until 9 o'clock. But that's the size of it. We'll definitely come back on Monday with interesting conversation, generating reactions in different spaces. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll step on the break now. When we're returning with time for us to go through the papers, we call it Off the Press. Stay with us.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamode Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on Plus TV Africa as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamode Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
In raising our kids, parents should stop playing God. The internet is actually using the people.
But when you are looking for money to help other people, then it becomes easy.
Don't rush into marriage. I always say this. You rush in, you rush out.
Family is the bedrock of every society and the essence of life.
On Today with John and Helen, we dig deep into family values in every sense of the word.
Join us every Saturday at 9:15 a.m. on Plus TV Africa, DSTV channel 408.
With you, we play a part in strengthening the values passed from generation to generation.
So what are the top decisions that the United States considers necessary that Nigeria must take?
I like to think of my interactions as conversations, not interviews. And that's why I say asking questions is both an art and a science.
Everyone says in Islam you are allowed to have 4 wives. Is it mandatory?
The right question enables answers that educate, inform, clarify, and help you, the viewer, to better understand the issue before making up your mind.
Our goal is to reduce from 10 to 2 days the time it takes to register businesses in Nigeria.
Join me every week on this station, Plus TV Africa, and gain exclusive access to my conversations. I'm Angela Ajetumobi.
How can we have peace without justice?
Plus Politics. It's not just another political conversation, it's about keeping you in the know. The relevant interviews, asking the tough questions to those that matter. Get the answers you need. Does it mean that the people who were injured, people who were shot at, those who were involved in that stampede are not going to get justice?
It is unfortunate, it is sad that we have a government of deaf and dumb.
Analysis from top experts.
The last election was not really an election.
We feel that Obasanjo has a very special place in his heart for hating Ijaw people.
I think it really boils down to 2 things. 1, trust and accountability.
Plus Politics, every weeknight at 7 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Welcome back to The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. It's time for Off the Press. As always, we take you through the pages, front pages to be precise, of our national dailies. We have Jide Johnson, who is on standby. He joins the conversation in no time. Jide Johnson, happy Friday, and thank you for joining us.
Mercy, happy Friday to you. Good morning to you and our viewers all over the world. And Justin, good morning to you. Yeah, and Mercy, have mercy on all of us.
Good morning, JJ.
Most definitely. We start off with the Leadership newspaper this morning. For abandoning zoning principle, Southeast to dump PDP after 23 years of party loyalty. What does that mean? We move away from that. Underneath several riders, South leaders kick, says party has dug its grave. Atiku Wike, Ayim, Obi, Emmanuel intensifies consultation. There will be a bridge between the North and South, Sarakli declares. ISIS releases video on execution of 20 Nigerians in Borno. And Tambuwal Sultan Koka appeal for calm and demand justice for a student that was killed in Sokoto that was beaten to death. You'll also find another header this morning. Orderly retires from Supreme Court and backs restructuring. Talking about Mary Orderly. Jonathan not yet registered member. Bielsa APC insists. There's been a back and forth with that particular story. Fuel scarcity, federal government falls Ipman's 500 billion naira bridging claims. Quit notice, Emefiele visits President Muhammadu Buhari, urges Nigerians to expect news. What could he be? These are the headlines on the Leadership this morning.
We'll move on next to the Nation newspaper. Emefiele meets Buhari as SGF clarifies quit order. CBN Governor, I am having fun. Appointees sue APC, INEC. Protesting students block highways. ASU adamant after talks. Tambuwal Sultan condemned lynching of female student. Retirement of justices deplete Supreme Court. Expect flooding nationwide, agency alerts Nigerians. El Rufai Kaduna delegates pledge support for Tinubu. AFC backs African economy with $2 billion facility. INEC reconsidering safekeeping of ballot papers in CBN's vaults. All right, federal government launches mobile app to tackle insecurity. Councillor held with AK-47. Those are the main stories on the front page of the Nation newspaper.
We move away from the Nation and let's quickly look at the Punch and find out what's happening on the Punch this morning. 2023 presidency, Jonathan submits APC forms today. Okay, so we're wondering all of the reports we're getting. He's a member, he's not a member, he's not registered. Emefiele Sean's resignation calls. CBN governor entitled to stay in office 30 days to general elections, or Zakome is quoted on that. Adamant appointee sue APC, INEC, Yahaya Bello submits nomination form. Buhari's resignation order to save APC candidate from loss. That's what the president is quoted to say. Despite 129 billion naira intervention loans, agri import hits 2.7 trillion naira. And INEC says 1.4 million online registration invalid. Wow. Buhari signs anti-money laundering counter-terrorism bill, and inadequate database threatens SIM and NIN registration. You also find NIMC admits deficit. Vice Chancellor's fear delay admission process so student protest spreads. You have student protesting. Lassa fever kills 149 in 4 months, says NCDC. 20 princes show interest application ends today, talking about the Alafi. And thugs attack Ondo female aspirant supporters and several injured. Some of the headlines you find this morning on the Punch. Household consumption rises to 108 trillion naira, according to the National Bureau of Statistics. Nigeria's 15 million out-of-school children population frightening. That's what the former president Olusegun Obasanjo is quoted to say. But these are the headlines on the Punch, some of it.
And finally, we look at the Nigerian Tribune. Outrage, that's alleged blasphemy, outrage over killing of female student in Sokoto. Police arrest 2, governor meets Khan. And Ohaneze Pandef knocked PDP for throwing presidential ticket open. 32 states, 233 LGAs risk flood disasters, federal government warns. INEC to adopt manual electronic transmission of result. Federal government licenses 12 new private universities. Pilot daughter of ex-minister, 10 others die in plane crash. 2023, SGF writes ambassadors, heads of parastatals, others with political ambition to vacate seats. Ngige hopeful of fruitful end to strike as ASU, SANU, NASU, NAAT, NLC meet federal government team. Keep a date with Destiny on May 29, Bello campaign DJ. I'm having fun. Let Nigerians have heart attack. Oh wow, Emefiele. And those are all of the stories on the Nigerian Tribune.
Jide Johnson, it's good to have you join us this morning on the show. We appreciate your time, always.
Let's start with the Central Bank Governor's Sean's call for resignation and his visit to the president. And then he's telling us that we should expect news. And also giving us the wonderful news that he's having fun, and then we can have an attack. It shows the irresponsibility and insensitivity of the person that is in charge of the monetary policy of our nation. And that's why Naira has had a free fall, because it shows his entire attitude, his lack of respect for statutory provisions of the Constitution, due process. So, and his general attitude. You know, a man through the way they speak, through their words. You can't know my thought until I open my mouth to talk. Now we could know his thought, we could know his attitude, we could know the degree of his professionalism and the rest of it. You don't need any rocket science for anybody to tell you that if you are seeking a high office of the presidency and you are occupying a sensitive position, you should resign. And then I think that the president himself has not helped matters. And that's been the approach of the president. He has developed a laid-back approach in dealing with people decisively. I'm sorry for doing this comparison, but I did public administration while I was in university as one of the elective courses in the Department of Political Science in UNILAG. I said in public administration, the only way you can make science out of public administration is to do a comparative analysis. Now, if you compare, I can't imagine the central bank governor under Obasanjo administration doing this type of nonsense that Emefiele is doing under Buhari's administration. It's not only insulting, it's insensitive, and for him, and he's coming back to ask for our vote. He said he's having fun, and Nigeria can have pain. We'll wait for him at the polls. We'll wait for him. So let's do away with the Emefiele open dance in the marketplace. We'll wait for him. We'll come and dance in the open marketplace. Now, let's look at the story of what happened in Sokoto State in this age and time. I have told anyone that cared to listen, is it the way we practice the religion, whether Christian religion or Islamic faith in Nigeria? Is it the same way they practice it in Israel and in Saudi Arabia and other Arabian countries? Is it the same way that we practice it? There's a clear distinction. Now, this is even not our own religion. These are imported foreign religions. These are religions that are imported from the south. In fact, it's a religion that came from Abraham, the Abrahamic religion. And that's why some of us have advocated that if you want to swear people into office, let us use our local deity. You leave a mountain in Nigeria, you go to a mountain in Arabia, and you say that's where God is. That's the only way you can see God. And you leave a mountain in Nigeria, in Okemesi and the rest of it, in Mabila Plateau, you go to mountain in Jerusalem, and you say that's where God is. God is not limited by space, is not limited by location. Now, God, any God that you have to fight for, then it's not worth any kind of worship. Leave God alone for God to fight for himself. Don't fight for God. Leave God alone. He's the supreme being. And can you imagine setting a fellow human being ablaze because of so there are no judicial process, there are no process of resolving issues in the country. It's unfortunate. This itself, Nigerians are waiting on how the Sokoto state government and how the federal government is going to respond to this issue. And I can tell you without a fact that this itself has put a certain question mark on the aspiration of the governor of Sokoto state with respect to what has happened in the state. Because the way this issue will be resolved will determine if he is picked as a PDP presidential candidate, hypothetically, then the way this matter is resolved will determine whether I will get votes from people of other religious divide or not. That's on being. These people arrested should not only be arrested, they should be prosecuted, and their trial should be made open. And it is clear in Nigeria, if you commit murder, it's clear, it's death penalty. And this one should be, if it is proven by a court of competent jurisdiction, this one should be executed publicly, so as to serve as a deterrent for others in the future, even though I'm totally against execution. But this particular issue should call for outrage from everyone that cares about the dignity of human life. You could arrest the person, take the person before your Sharia court, and let the person be tried. And don't take laws into your own hand. And you can imagine they are students of a tertiary institution.
All right. Those are just very sad scenarios. Those two issues that you have looked into, the 2023 elections, Emefiele, and of course what happened in Sokoto State just yesterday. But let's move away from that. Let's talk about other stories trending. Let's look at the Nigerian Tribune, if we would. 32 states, 233 local government areas risk flood disasters, federal government warns. Jide, the issue for me is the warning and all of that. Over time, there are always issues of flood disasters. Don't you think the federal government should just be doing beyond warning and find a way to mitigate against this rather than just warning, residents?
Justin warns that he will not present the program tomorrow.
Say that again.
Mercy won. I said Justin warns the producer that he will not present the program. Justin warns the producer that the program might not air tomorrow.
Okay.
When government that should be responsible for taking care of things is warning the people, that's the restriction of duty. And year in, year out, we hear the story when the rainy season is about commencing, that there will be flooding. What measures, what step? Why do we have National Emergency Management Agency? NEMA. Why? Why are they budgeting resources for them? If you look into the budget, you look at monies that have been allocated for dealing with deforestation, dealing with flooding, and the rest of it. Where does this money go to? So it's we hear the same story year in, year out, where government is shifting responsibility of what government ought to do back to the people, for the people to do that. It's the same thing. When you relate that story, it's the same thing with vice chancellors of universities saying that the strike is delaying the admission process. You relate that to JAMB. Over the course of this week, early this week and late last week, they had JAMB. In the last 3 years, admission have not, there are still some schools that have not done the admission of their 2018, 2019, 2019, 2020, and 2020, 2021 admission process. They have not done it. Yeah, JAMB is still continuing. JAMB is a federal agency. JAMB is still continuing with admission process. Now, the mandate for JAMB is Joint Admission and Matriculation Examination Board. Joint Admission and Matriculation Examination Board. Now, there are two mandates. One is the admission, two is their matriculation. Now, you can't do admission until you conclude an admission, and the conclusion of an admission is matriculation. You don't do another. But we live in a useless society. I'm I'm so sorry, apologies to whoever I've insulted, that you find a body that is interested in making money out of Nigerian parents. The admission of last year, they have not concluded. They are doing another admission this year again, running against their own mandate. But because they have been involved in a lot of critical stakeholders, nobody is talking about it. How would you do admission that you have not done matriculation? You have not completed the matriculation for one. You are doing the admission for another, and then you are collecting money from people. It's a crime. Both the JAM itself, Ministry of Education, they are committing crime against humanity. They are ripping off Nigerians and are destroying the lives of Nigerian children, giving them hope in an hopeless situation. Because the schools are on strike already. The admission of last year has not been concluded. The one for 2 years ago has not been concluded. You are doing another exam again. All you need to do is to visit the centers and see parents sitting down on the floor because they want their children to go to school. And the schools are nowhere to be found. In actual
Jide Johnson, do we still have you online with us? It feels like we've lost connection with Jide Johnson.
You know, we talked about this issue.
Establish our connection. We'll definitely.
Mercy, we talked about, and the other you said I was laughing about, when we talked about people still, scrambling or grappling to write JAMB when some schools have not even done admission, when ASU was on strike. And Jide is mentioning it again, because it is really a serious affair. Although I apologize for making light of it the other day, but these issues are real. These issues are very serious. They're collecting money, and students, they don't even know their future as it is with the admission. And JAMB is been at home for some months, and some schools, they've not been able to wrap up previous sessions, and people are still writing UTME.
So, of course,
maybe they should halt it for now.
He's actually, he's raised very, very valid points right there. If those who were supposed to have a session matriculating and all of that has not happened, what's the essence? So you're just going to have a backlog. Because if this set of persons do not matriculate, what's the guarantee? But you can't really almost blame the student for the fact that,
they have to aspire to go to school now.
That's because in the first instance, if JAMB did not put out the publication there, if they did not put out the advertisement to say we're admitting, then it will not. It's like saying you didn't even know that these contractors, they will not pay you for the job. Then you saw a contract being published, you applied to be part of it. But we have Jide Johnson back on the line. It's good to have you join us once again. Let's allow you finish your thought of line.
So I think the students don't know where to take their protest to. They are taking their protest to the highway. Why should they take their protest to the highway? They should take it to State House of Assembly. They should take it to the National Assembly. They should take it to government buildings, and then they take it to Aso Rock, and then they take it to the airports, the executive wing of the airports. That's where they should take their protest to, because these are the policy makers. The protesting on the highway is significantly pain on an average Nigerian that needs to nothing about what is affecting them. I recall when we were in Unilag, one of the things that forced Babangida administration out of Lagos, when they opened Third Mainland Bridge, when we went on protest and we blocked Third Mainland Bridge, we did not seize the vehicles of private citizens. We seized vehicles of federal government and state government, and that's when they listened to us. I don't know the kind of student unionism that arrives from that. You can't inflict your pains on an average Nigerian. Don't protest on the highway. Take your protest to the National Assembly. Take it to the State Assembly. Take it to government houses. These are the policy makers. Take it to the office of the minister. These are the policy makers, not Nigerians that are going about their normal businesses on the highway. And there should be a public hearing by the National Assembly on this issue of admission and matriculation. This continuous ripping off of Nigeria, collecting money from parents to do JAMB, that there is no admission inside and there is no matriculation inside. I'll end on that.
All right, Jide Johnson has closed this conversation down. Now let's look at the Leadership newspaper. It talks about the Southeast to dump PDP after 23 years of party loyalty. What does this really mean?
Well, the Southeast has gradually dumped the PDP to a large extent. The Southeast, but know that if you are looking for a region that is only PDP, is the South, and the Southeast. southwest, and then the southeast. The southeast to a large extent, because in Anambra State, APGA has been in power for 19 years now, and so for 17 years now, almost 17 years, because the last two governors with the current governor plus the current governor are in APGA. Then Imo has been under APC for the past 7 years. So to a large extent, and then the governor of Ebonyi State has crossed over to APC. So you can't say that truly Southeast is only PDP, but over time, in terms of voting, in terms of actual voting, the Southeast has always been locked down by PDP. However, some gladiators in the Southeast started romancing APC almost 7 years ago. Ken Namani, who was the Senate president, Paras Ayim, who was the Senate president, David Umahi, who is an elected governor, Oji Uzokal, who was a two-term governor. And you have these actors and players that have been critical players in PDP that have moved to APC. But anyone that is deceiving himself that APC is just deceiving himself. APC is PDP 2.0. So I will not be surprised if anybody in APC, if anybody in PDP moves to APC. Because if you look at the entire structure of the APC, the entire structure of the party machinery of APC is controlled by the PDP. Their national secretary, their national chairman was once the secretary of the board of trustees of PDP and was a two-term governor of PDP, was a two-term senator under the PDP platform. Their national secretary, Iola Omishori, was a senator elected under PDP. So there's no PDP. We have said there's no PDP or APC in Nigeria. What the Nigerian political class cares about is about their interest. That's why you will see that Jonathan, Goodluck Jonathan, that was humiliated, that was disgraced, that was humiliated by the APC, will today be thinking of collecting the APC form, and APC will be thinking of fielding someone they derided, someone they humiliated, someone they disgraced, someone they gave all manners of names, that they will be willing to accept, quote unquote, the most corrupt, according to them, president, and to accept him into their fold as a presidential candidate. The bottom line is that they don't care about us. All they care about is themselves. All you need to do is to go to Abuja and you see them in the night. They relate together. So there's no PDP, there's no APC. We've been telling Nigerians about this for a very, very long time.
But we like to understand further what this means as, the headline puts that the Southeast dumped PDP after 23 years of party loyalty. Does this mean that, afterwards you're not going to have Nigerians who are in the Southeast voting for the PDP? I mean, is this at the party level? Does this mean that, they're just going to work on the minds of Nigerians not to support the PDP?
The outcome of the presidential primaries in all the parties will determine where the voting bloc will go. However, PDP was economic with the truth, and it's unfortunate that Yosha Ayu is made the chairman and is the chairman that has manipulated the process. By the time tested principle of PDP, once the national chairman is from the north, the presidential candidate comes from the south, and that's what the arrangement. That's why when it was PDP convention, there was no national chairman office there was nobody from the south that contested the national chairmanship office. In actual sense, the office was zoned to the north before it was micro-zoned to the north central, and that's why Yosha was picked. Yosha was picked to do that. Now, moving forward, whatever happens in 2023 will determine the way forward for Nigeria, whether Nigeria will remain as a corporate entity or not, whether there will be need or agitation for self-determination. Because if you have principles that govern your nation, your relationship about the north and south dichotomy, and how you try to bridge that gap by having a seamless arrangement and unwritten rule that governs how power shifts between these two major geographical divisions that we have in Nigeria. Forget about the northeast, northwest, north, south. It's just the north and the south. And then if you don't have that arrangement, then you'll see. For example, In APC, the same thing was done. And then what did APC do? They threw the ticket open. Same thing with the PDP. Now, can move forward. Will southern politicians ever trust the northern politicians? Now, what is at stake concerning 2023 moving forward is trust. Is the issue of trust. And that trust will be tested to the wire. And until the presidential candidates of the parties are picked, we won't know where the voting blocks will go, whether the Southeast voting bloc will go with the PDP or they will go with the APC. Because even if you look at the arrangement in APC is not even favoring the Southeast. Who is the presidential candidate that has come out of the Southeast that want to aspire? Some of them that want to aspire, they've jettisoned their aspiration. And some from the Southeast have also bought the form for senatorial. For example, like the governor of Cross River State, he bought the form of a presidential ticket, and he also bought the form of senatorial form. So these are some of the issues that will be resolved moving forward. But under normal circumstances, the Southeast deserve the first shot on the presidency, and the South. It's the Southwest does not even the Southwest. The Northwest does not deserve to have anything in the presidency,
Jide Johnson,
the vice president or the president. It should be the Southeast, South, North Central, and Northeast. Those are the people that should have conversation with the presidency. When I talk about the presidency, I'm talking about the vice president and the president. These are the conversation moving forward. We want to have principle of inclusion of every element that constitutes the Nigerian nation.
A little on, the actions or the action of the governor of Cross River State. Don't you think that this might just go with the saying that, don't put your eggs in one basket?
We knew how Okorocha is nothing. Rochas Okorocha did the same thing in 2014, where he picked the presidential ticket form to contest against Buhari in Lagos, and then after same thing with Tambuwal. Tambuwal did the same thing in 2014. So it's nothing new. It's just that Nigerians don't. Human memory. We are short on human memory. Nigerians don't follow history. It's nothing new. I did a short story about the meeting that took place last week Friday. We were talking about the meeting of APC taking place last week. Reviewed the last, and I said I'm not advising Osinbajo to come. And Osinbajo actually came. They all came for the meeting. And after the meeting, I did a short story where I wrote about the tale of two ballers. What happened? The story, the scenario that played out in 1990 between Bola and Falai. The same thing that played out between Bola Tinubu and Yemi Osinbajo. So people are just
Jide Johnson.
It's just 2014 year.
Okay, we have to let you go now.
Hello.
We have to let you go. We have to let you go, Jide Johnson. We are completely out of time, but indeed, thank you so much for all the useful insights and thoughts you usually share on the newspaper review. We do appreciate the time.
It's a pleasure to be with you, Justin, and have a wonderful Friday. And mercy, once again, have mercy on us.
All right, thank you so much. All right, that's as much as we can take in this segment. We'll take a quick break. First of all, we'll look at what happened this day in history. We'll come back and have our first major conversation of the day. Do join us again.
Life can be fun and rewarding, but it also comes with some risk. As in business, you win some, you lose some. And that's why you need to be wise in the choices you make. It's like placing a bet. Again, you need to be wise. Wise in choosing an innovative platform with the highest market options and highest odds ever. That's why Winners Golden Bet, the leader in online, in-shop, virtual, and live sports betting, gives you enhanced platforms that offer you the best chances of winning. For betting on live soccer matches, live dog races, and virtual games. Winners Golden Bet is your best bet. Instant payment of winnings guaranteed. Play online or in any of our numerous shops nearest to you.
Hey guys, be wise. Play on Winners Golden Bet.
Winners Golden Bet, the wise choice.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them. If you no talk, then go beat you. Now 2,500 they pay.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408 or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
How can we have peace without justice?
Plus Politics. It's not just another political conversation, it's about keeping you in the know. The relevant interviews, asking the tough questions to those that matter. Get the answers you need. Does it mean that the people who were injured, people who were shot at, those who were involved in that stampede are not going to get justice?
It is unfortunate, it is sad that we have a government of deaf and dumb.
Analysis from top experts.
The last election was not really an election.
We feel that Obasanjo has a very special place in his heart for hating Ijaw people.
I think it really boils down to two things. One, trust and accountability.
Plus Politics, every weeknight at 7 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
Welcome back. It's still The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa, and this time around we'll be focusing on religious extremism. Religious extremism is a global issue that raises questions and tensions in many countries. In Nigeria, it is a known fact that religion has been abused in many ways to suit the interest of some groups of people who consider themselves as custodians and defenders of religious values and faith. Apparently, the trend of violence in Nigeria is a sign of the need for thorough research and study about religions in tertiary institutions, including universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education. Now, extremists use religion as a shield either for political or economic agenda and manipulate their gullible followers in order to impose their ideology on them. Now, the reality of this in Nigeria is a challenge to tertiary education to search for a lasting solution that will enable Nigerians overcome the problem and focus on their economic, social, and genuine religious progress. Now, Muslim students in the northwest city of Sokoto on Thursday stoned a Christian student of Shehu Shagari College of Education to death and burnt her corpse after accusing her of blasphemy against the Prophet Muhammad. We are now being joined by human rights lawyer Justice Uhuebu, and of course we'll try and get a clergy to just do justice on all of that. Oh, incidentally, we have Justice joining us. Good morning to you, Justice Uhuebu.
Good morning. Once more, it is my pleasure.
Yes. So, Justice, let's just dive into it. Religious extremism is not a new concept in Nigeria. Over time, students have actually been indoctrinated and they have lost the essence of which they went to school for in the first instance, and they tend to do things contrary to what they were supposed to do in the first place. Let's talk about this issue of blasphemy now in Nigeria. Specifically, what does the law say concerning it?
Well, when you talk about blasphemy, is there any law in Nigeria that talks about blaspheming against any religion or any belief or whatever you think it is your personal issue? Or there's no such thing. It's so unfortunate that in this country, the government is still trying to deny about some of the. I still blame the government. I still blame the executive for some of these problems we are having. Now, the Constitution, as it is, the 1999 Constitution, as amended, expressly stated that no state shall adopt any religion as its own religion. Then what are we saying? Why all these religious problems here and there, and the government is keeping quiet? When people have flouted the provision of the Constitution, it is said in this same country that people try to adopt one particular religion from states as their religion, as their particular religion, and the government is not doing anything about it. That is why we have a government in the center, which is in Abuja, that will make sure that it oversees for some of these things and make sure that the Constitution is implemented. Simplicity to letter. So the problem is that because such things have been happening every time and nobody is doing anything, and that is why it will continue happening. It is so barbaric.
Okay, but how then do we now explain this part of the Constitution, or the fact that the Constitution provides a customary, or that's a customary system or a secular system, and in that secular system it incorporates the Sharia law? That's what it is. And the customary system prohibits blasphemy by section 204 of the Nigeria's Criminal Code. And that section is titled or entitled Insult to Religion. How do we explain this part of it?
Now, when you have insult, that's what I was trying to explain. You talked about insult to religion. Okay. But the issue is that the Constitution provides that nobody under the fundamental human rights should take anybody's life except by a means accepted by the law. And that is why we have freedom of religion. By implication, you are right and have every right to belong to any religion of your choice. And when you believe in any religion of your choice, does not mean that you have to interfere with the religion of another person who believes in any other thing. We are talking about religion. Is it because what are people that do not believe in anything? There are people that do not believe in Jesus Christ. There are people that do not believe in Muhammad. There are people that do not believe in anything. And moreover, even I have taken time to even go through the Quran. I don't think there's anywhere the Quran says that you should kill somebody. And when you meet genuine Islamic scholars and genuine Muslims, they will tell you that Islam is a religion of peace. So, where is all these things coming from? That's the question we should be asking ourselves. And that is what the government should be looking at. So it's an issue of hypnotizing people. Some people hypnotizing people. Some people using people for their selfish interest and all the rest. If people go to school and get well educated, you see that most of them will stop. Whether you're a Muslim, whether you're a Christian, whether you're whatever you believe in, these things will stop.
But so let's get back to the recent happening. I mean, the one that happened in Sokoto. How would you describe that incident of a student that was killed? What would you say this is? Do you think it's a case of blasphemy here, or it's just a case of murder? Whatever the case may be.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, it is barbaric. Because to me, it is a case of murder. Because that action is barbaric. Killing in any way that does not conform with the legal process is barbaric and should be condemned in any part of the country, whether in the north, whether in the west, whether in the east, whether anywhere. It should be condemned in the first place. Even if somebody is said to have committed an offense, the Constitution provides that an accused person is presumed innocent until proven guilty, and not guilty by the accuser or by people, but the law says by a court of competent jurisdiction. So assuming somebody committed an offense, you did not take the person to court, you did not take the legal process, and you just went and start and killed the person. It is murder. There's no other definition you can give to it, or no other justification aside from murder. Because you did not, let me tell you, this is even in law that what we call extrajudicial killing. When we even fight with the police, with the military, with the anti-drug law agents and all the rest, against extrajudicial killing, not to talk of human beings who are not even security agents. So what are we saying? There's no justification. It is purely murder.
All right, Barrister Ohegbu, just how far do you think this investigation would go? Because the police, have come out to say that 2 people have been arrested, but we saw different, reactions and counter reactions follow this particular development. For instance, the vice president, former vice president, condemned, the attack, and he was quick to also, remove the post on Facebook and Twitter just because he was threatened, about his political ambition. Just how far would this case go? Will it see the logical conclusion?
Well, I wouldn't know that, and that was why I said that the responsibility is saddled, is a responsibility that should be carried on by the police, the DSS, the security agencies in Nigeria with the help of the executive, because it's the executive that foresees, that appoints these people and make sure that they do their duty before it will not definitely or eventually go to court for one thing or the other. It's unfortunate that in Nigeria, not only this thing that happened in Sokoto, it has been happening in other parts of the country. It has been happening in the east, it has been happening in the north, it has been happening in the west. So whenever such thing like this or killings happens, the police will always come and say they are investigating, social people have been arrested. At the end of the day, nobody will hear anything about it. And that is why it's most times you see people calling for justice. Justice for this, justice for this, justice for that. So where do we go from here? So it's not enough to say those people have been arrested. But the truth is this. If you want killings to stop in the country, I am using the word killing, not making much emphasis to this. Because this kind of thing, killings, extrajudicial killings have been happening all over the country. Not only this, I know what I'm saying, and you will also understand what I'm trying to say. So, but the issue there is this: when such incidents occur, What is the police doing about it? Do we play politics with it or thereabout? So if there are people anywhere that are culpable, they should be arrested and prosecuted and made to face the law. And the moment you do it, it will serve as a lesson, as a deterrent to other people. There are no two ways about it.
All right, we have the CAN chairman of in Kaduna State, Reverend Joseph Hayab, joining this conversation. Good morning to you, Reverend Hayab.
Thank you for having me. Good morning to you.
All right, let's talk about religious intolerance, religious extremism, if you may, because it's as though a lot of people feel that they need to fight God's battle, for Him. Would you say that religion in Nigeria has actually brought us more harm than good?
Well, it all depends on the angle you are looking at. The truth is that religion has helped to stop masses in Nigeria from lynching their leaders. But unfortunately, the larger percentage of those who practice religion in Nigeria are ignorant. And due to ignorance, you see this kind of high level of intolerance displayed every day. It happens once, twice, as many times, but no action also from government to show that we cannot allow this. How can citizens take the law into their hands at a slightest misunderstanding hiding under religion? And leaders have not called such people to order or bring such perpetrators to justice. That's why they continue to do this. This is the ordeal people are facing in northern Nigeria, especially Christians. This case may be true, but we have 1,001 stories that were never true. And these people were killed and nothing happened. That's why if you even go out on the street now and ask many, they will assume this is also another propaganda. But it's possible that it is true. It's just that because justice has never been done, that's why this evil continues to happen. So the height of religious intolerance has gotten to a large level, both among the masses, the leaders, our political class, and even religious leaders, because this action is supported by the kind of utterance that religious leaders give or preach to their followers. Recently, a video went viral that an imam in Sokoto preached and said that in Sokoto, if you dare blaspheme the prophet, death. They will not even take you to police death. So if such thing happened, that imam should also be arrested because it was his preaching that led to this.
Okay, but in the course of your response to this question, you have talked about another propaganda. What does that mean in this context?
I am saying that sometimes this alarm of blasphemy could be just a propaganda or just a blackmail to settle scores with enemies. But this case may be true. I'm only saying that we have had situations like this. That's why even when things happen like this, people will start doubting whether it was true, whether it's one of those blackmail or just cover up to kill whoever is their enemy. So we've had such cases within northern Nigeria, and government have never investigated it. If this girl really blaspheming the prophet, why don't they just ask the police to arrest her? Take her to court, and if she's found guilty, prosecuted and jailed, then you kill her, kill somebody's son. How many Muslims in Nigeria have spoken bad things about Jesus? Have we burnt Nigeria because we want to show we love Jesus?
Okay. But, in this case, according to the reports that we have also that's been made public, is the fact that she had requested that in the WhatsApp group that they belong, there should be restriction of religious posts and not a particular religion. She talked about posting religious issues in the WhatsApp group. That's the report that we have. But how do we solve this problem now? Because this religious extremism continues every other time. I mean, in a case, we know that the Constitution, whether or not we want to agree with that, has incorporated the Sharia law, and of course, blasphemy is a crime. So in this case where you were supposed to have the government taking, action against all sort of this crime and people are taking action. How can we solve this problem of, people taking the laws into their hands?
Well, some of the videos that are flying indicate that we can see the faces of those who killed, Deborah, sorry. So if those who killed Deborah can be traced, government should go after them, arrest them, and investigate this deeply, prosecute them, and let this serve as a deterrent to others who may think they will do it. There should be an end to this kind of evil going on in our country. Because you do something wrong to me, I shouldn't just kill you. We cannot be a lawless country. And even when you read some of the statements are coming, they are all coming without even the strength of will to show that this evil is too much. So we're just making statements to please ourselves, but we've not really taken a concrete word to show that we will not allow this evil to continue.
All right, Barrister Justice Ohegbu, let's talk about damage control. Let's talk about ways forward, because as it is right now, there seems to be a bit of an unrest around Sokoto State with the Sultan and Khan, and of course the government calling for calm. Just what do we need to do to ensure that Muslims feel safe in Sokoto as well as Christian? So we don't have a bit of a reprisal attack. Justice, are you still there?
We have a system, especially in the north, where the major and the only people that can calm this situation down is the religious leaders over there. And when you have religious leaders that are proactive, that are sincere, that embrace peace, that are tolerant to every other person and every other religion that any other person believes in, all these things will stop. There are no two ways about it. And also the government must rise up without fear or favor to do the needful. There's a lot of killings in this country, or there's insecurity everywhere, and adding this kind of situation to our problem is not acceptable at all. We shouldn't continue this way. We're looking for ways to crop and unravel the problem, the menace we have in the country, and this one is coming up again. So what do we say? What do we do? I think the government must rise up, call the religious leaders to order, call them for a meeting and talk to them and give them a mandate. For any crime, nobody has the right to take another person's life without the permission of the courts. The only body saddled with responsibility of prosecuting people, finding them guilty for one alleged offense or the other is the law courts. Even the Sharia you're talking about, the Sharia law you're talking about, the Sharia courts. So if they felt that was blaspheming against the young lady, why didn't they take her to court? So I mean, all these things should stop.
Let's also bring in Reverend Yaha. Let's bring in the Reverend now. Okay, I understand we do not have him back, but I'll just stay with Justice now. Now, we also have an incident that happened in 2016, July the 9th, where you have Pastor Eunice Elisha that was killed at the time, beheaded for preaching the gospel in the FCT. And, nothing really was done. Fast forward, there was also another incident of a lady who was killed, Bridget, by the name, for also in Kanu, and nothing was done. She was beheaded. Do you also see this case as another case that would go unpunished?
Well, this one happened in Abuja, this other one happened in Kano, and this one now happened in Sokoto. Well, they are of different jurisdiction, let me put it that way. And I know that the chief executive officers here, they are all different people. So now it depends on the manner and the kind of person and integrity of the person and the will of the person who is piloting the affairs of that state to come up and handle the situation. That is what I have to say. Because in as much as they are different states, but it's still the same country. It's still the same nation. There is a central executive government at the center that is also supposed to, take charge of some of this. And what we have is Nigerian police. For now, we don't have any state police. So Nigerian police is one everywhere. So I expect that things will not continue happening or occurring the same way it is happening. Because if it keep on happening the same way and nothing is done, it will keep on happening. So let us see what will happen in Sokoto State with this kind of case now to see whether it can put a stop to some of these things.
All right, let's bring in an Islamic cleric to join the conversation. We have Abdul Brahman Adangba. Thanks for joining us on the breakfast. Good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
We are doing well. Glad to have you again. So let's talk about this issue that happened just yesterday in Sokoto State. Specifically, what does Islam say about blasphemy? And did the students did they do right in any way according to religion? To take laws into their own hands.
Yeah, you see, it's quite unfortunate that it happened that way. One, no religion calls for instant justice. Anytime, any day there is an incident, it must be verified, prosecuted, before actions are taken. So jumbo justice is not allowed even in Islam. So it's quite unfortunate that the lady has lost her life. But I want to state here that are you with me?
Yeah, go ahead. We can hear you. Yes.
Yeah, it's very clear now that what happened is a mob situation. Nobody will be apprehended and taken to justice because they will say it's a mob action. The lady has lost her life. But I want to clarify and warn here that when you are dealing with people, you know the type of people you are dealing with. You get in the first instance must not have even written anything blasphemous about the Prophet or the Quran in her page. So writing it on her page is very, very, very provocative. Go to those people there. Because even the Islam we are talking about, when it says that you should not take laws into your hand and act according to how your wishes are, then they have done it now, they will not be able to be taken up and addressed the way they did. If they have prosecuted the lady, it will have been positively good for them because it will be known to the world that this is what Islam and Muslims do not play with. So, but doing what they did is just barbaric and I'm not in support of that anyway.
So going forward, now how do we begin to ensure resolution of all of this? How do we ensure closure, justice to the family of the deceased girl and of course residents around Sokoto State? The school has been closed right now.
You see, my own take is this. We have the government must deal with people that they apprehend. That's number one. Number two, we have to learn to respect our different differences. We have differences. We have the way everybody thinks. Even the Muslims to the Christians to the Muslims. We don't call this tolerance. The lady mustn't have done it in the first instance. So, but anyway, in the way it is now, the NIREC must now stand up and address issues that have to do like this because if other parties stood up to say they want to start fighting, then it will not give any one of us any good because we are going to be facing peaceful protests and loss of harmony amongst us. So if we want to give justice to what happened, the police should deal with the people that they apprehend. Let the person that did that thing be brought to book. That's number one. Then let the government institute a committee that is going to sit and address issues that did this to our people. It is not good at all. I am not very happy about the situation. Very sad.
All right, thank you so much, Abdul Brahman Adangba, and of course, also a very big thank you to Justice Ohegbo, human rights lawyer. Thank you, Justice.
I didn't get that.
No, I was just saying thank you for all of your thoughts today. I do appreciate the time and the insights that you have shared so far.
I'm afraid all over the world, we do curb indecency. We will allow it to happen, then we all stand up and say we are trying to curb it. Must it happen in the first instance? These are what we should have addressed before. I am afraid if the real justice everybody wants to be done, because I'm looking at it futuristically that they will say if a mob action.
All right, thanks for that interjections that you just made. Once again, thank you so much for your time. Justice Uhegbu, human rights lawyer, thank you so much as well.
Thank you.
And of course, we also must say a very big thank you to the Christian Association of Nigerian Chairmen who joined us from Kaduna State. That's Reverend Joseph Hayab. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for all of the input on this particular sad and barbaric incident that happened in Sokoto State on Thursday night. It is still the breakfast on Plus TV Africa. We'll take a quick break and we'll come back and we'll be giving you the latest update in the exciting world of sports. Do join us again.
This medal has been directed to empower 1,000 persons with disabilities in each state in the next 12 months.
We now start hearing the shoot of gun.
Whatever I have done.
Every public policy has winners and losers, and some will not be very happy with you, while others, usually the silent majority, will be quite happy.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Hear success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on Plus TV Africa.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on Plus TV Africa as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
Nigeria, by extension, Africa, is faced with a lot of challenges. The growing youth population with little engagement, that is a ticking time bomb. We are a blessed people with diverse culture and highly cerebral minds who have a lot to say. And yes, we are talking. It is important we drive the right conversation that informs, inspires, influences thought and action. If we say there's beauty in our diversity, then let us embrace our diverse culture. We must continue to courageously be the voice of transformation as we are the hope for the future. Yesterday's conversations shape today. What are you saying to shape your tomorrow? We know you have a lot to say, and we are here to hear you.
It's the Breakfast and Plus TV Africa. Now, the inclusion of 8 NPFL players in the Super Eagles list for the doubleheader friendly against Ecuador and Mexico would also look at Arsenal, who is more likely to make a return to the USCL at this point in time. This will be the crux of our conversation as we have Monday Thomas joining the conversation. He's a sports journalist. Monday Thomas, thank you for joining us.
Good morning to you, and I hope you're having a fantastic time.
Yes, we are. Thank you so much. Let's get to it with the development of having 8 players, invited to join. What do you make of this development?
All right, it's quite great if you ask me, and I think it's time for these players to be included at the top flight. I mean, top flight of Nigerian football is the NPFL players representing their clubs in the very big stage, which is the national team. It's a thing of honor, it's a thing of joy, it's a thing of great value, and of course, the boost in this player's CV if they get to play for their home countries. But I think in recent times, we get to force coaches, especially the foreign coaches, to include local players, and sometimes we don't get to see these local players included in the national team. Right now, the Super Eagles have not confirmed their coach for the next competition, which is the AFCON qualifiers. And the man who's at the aim of affairs right now, Saïssou Youssou, has opted to include these 8 players who, for me, they've done remarkably well in their club side. Let's take a look at the duo of Victor Mbama, who plays for Enyimba, and Ishak Rafi, who plays for Rivers United. Ishak Rafi right now is the highest goal scorer in the NPFL with about 14 goals, and Victor Mbama has already scored 10 goals, to be very precise. He scored 12 goals this season for Enyimba in the NPFL. And now, just as my problem with this locally based players, I mean, some of them, they just want to get into the national team to get their way out of the country. Because this 8 players, take a look at it, in the next tournament, in the next competition, which is the AFCON qualification, you won't get to see these players because they just want to have that first cap, and then they perform well, and then they are open to scout all over the world, maybe in Uzbekistan. These players are just eager on leaving Nigeria. They don't want to play for the national team. They don't really care about the national team. They just want a cap. And thankfully, the opportunity has come. So I would just like to use this medium to change their mindset that they should not just thinking of breaking into the Super Eagles squad, but they should be thinking of making a name for themselves at the big stage, which is playing for the national team. Congratulations to the likes of Ibrahim Bouari of Plateau United, Issa Ali of Remo Stars, Chiamaka Madu of Rivers United, Babatunde Afis of Kwara United, and as I earlier mentioned, Victor Mbama, Ishak Rafi. The goalkeepers, of course, Adewale Adeyinka of Kwara United is a champion last season with Kwara United, talking the NPFL, and as well as the goalie of Enyimba, Ojo Olorunleke. I would like them to not just break into the Super Eagles squad, but think of making a name for themselves, creating history, maybe winning the next AFCON, because they've got potential for it. They should not just look at leaving the country, using the Super Eagles as an aim to a means or a bet to leave the country. But first off, I'll say congratulations. It's great to see 8 NPFL players for the double-header encounter that we'll see against Mexico and Ecuador.
Monday, it is a good development, Appiah standing in for Nigeria, at national and international levels. But then, would you actually want to blame them if they have the right set on the international level when we have all of the issues with remuneration and the local league, even at the national level? So why blame them if they're putting their rise on the international scene? And
also, are you saying that this development, the NFA is not responsible for this? You're saying that it might just be the handiwork of these players?
Well, I've got to be brutally honest. The football in Nigeria is not the very best, but I can see a future. I can see a future from where the NPFL season, especially this season, is going. What I meant by these players leaving Nigeria when they have this opportunity to play for the Super Eagles is that most of them, they go to obscure leagues. I mean, Azerbaijan, Uzbekistan, where they cannot be seen. I mean, where their quality cannot be visible to the coaches of maybe the next coach of the Super Eagles. So if they are to make a step out of the country, they should think of going to bigger clubs. I mean, they should think of going to England. I know opportunities may not just come from England, but they should think of developing themselves to the point that they can play in the big leagues. It's not just about playing for the Super Eagles and having a chance to go to this obscure leagues. I'm not a fan of going to Armenia, Uzbekistan, Singapore. No way. I think Nigerian players, we've got talent that we can play in the Spanish La Liga, top flight leagues, maybe the championship in England. So I'm not saying that going out of the country is something bad, but they should just aim higher so that they can come back home and play for the Super Eagles, because that's where you get to be called up. Because you can't expect to play in Uzbekistan and someone playing in the English Premier League will not be called up in place of you. So that's what I'm trying to say.
Okay. But one would expect, I mean, one would think that this is actually a development that should be welcomed, in the sense that we have constantly talked about local talent and, you know, incorporating, you know, the locals into a football game, not necessarily having to scout for players outside of it and moving forward. You also want to agree with me that there might just be a possibility of, you know, having these guys on a permanent basis and playing for the Super Eagles rather than scouting outside when we have local talents as this at home.
Certainly. I think we've got brilliant talent here in the country. It's time we get to include more players. Eight is a lot, and I want to see more. Like, I want to see more of this locally based players, because sometimes I go watch them. They impress me a lot, and it's quite a shame that in different times they were not given opportunity in the top flight, which is the national team. So hopefully, with the WAFU also currently ongoing in Niger, the young stars are also doing something great there. We've got great talent right there in Niger currently for the under-20. I'm very sure this is the start of something great. But I would just advise the coaches to be very spot on in their scouting, because it's not every locally based player that can be, of course, replacing a foreign-based player.
It sounds like there's more to this that we don't know. You have an insight to all of this. But of course, we have to move away from this conversation. Now, Arsenal and Tottenham Hotspur, who's more likely to return to the UEFA Champions League?
Well, yesterday we saw a game that should have been the top four decider. Well, if Arsenal would have gotten 3 points in that particular game, it would have been done and dusted, and then Arsenal will return to the UEFA Champions League for the first time in 5 years. But it was the other way around. Quite sad for Arsenal fans. They have to wait until the end of the season. So Tottenham Hotspur also have to wait for the end of the season. But first off, it was a clinical performance by the White Lilies, beating the Gunners 3-0. Two goals from Harry Kane, who's a Derby king, and of course, Son Heung-min, who simply could not stop scoring. Son Heung-min has scored 21 goals this season. Dejan Kulusevski has provided more assists than any other player in 2022. Harry Kane has scored 15 goals this season. I mean, if you compare them to the Arsenal side, the likes of Bukayo Saka, Edouard Nketiah, Lacazette, you will see that Tottenham Hotspur have got a better team than Arsenal. And you take a look at the next game for Tottenham Hotspur. They host Burnley at the new Tottenham Stadium, and the second game, or the last game, is going to be against Norwich City at the Carrow Road. Spurs have easier fixtures, and I think they will make it to the top four at the expense of the Gunners. Arsenal, in their next game, they travel to the St. James's Stadium to take on Newcastle, who are the priciest team. They are rejuvenated to make their fans happy, being the penultimate game of the season and their home game. So I'm seeing Arsenal faltering in that particular venue, and maybe getting a win against Everton. Tottenham and Arsenal need to get 6 points if they want to make it to the top 4. But the sport is just for one person, and I see Tottenham Hotspur making it to the UEFA Champions League next season.
All right. Thank you so much, Monday Thomas, for your analysis and, of course, all the useful insight that you always bring on Fridays. We do appreciate it.
Appreciate you for always having me as well. You have yourself a fantastic weekend.
And you too as well. That's the size of the show for today. It's Friday. I'm thanking God I can't wait to get out of here, and maybe I might just have to go to the beach or something. Miss, what are you doing?
Well, we need to move away immediately. Thank you so much for being part of The Breakfast. We appreciate your time as always, and we look forward to having you join the conversation on Monday. The time will be 7 o'clock. But if you missed out on any part of it, it's all right to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. I am Mercy Bopo.
And I'm Justin Akadonye. Many thanks for being a part of the show. Bye for now.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bukky November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
My name is Akin Adeoya. Let me add my voice to this laudable project, the Good Old Days series. My major focus will basically be on my passion for reading while growing up, the extent I went in funding this habit, lessons learned, and values associated with the correctional methods employed by my dear mother of blessed memory. How did this adventure into Storyland begin? My earliest memory of how it all started was my mom gathering us for informal afternoon and weekend storytelling sessions. She would tell us the irresistible and fantastic stories by authors like Sir Rider Haggard, King Solomon's Mines, by Shakespeare, The Merchant of Venice, and the like. Yes, she clearly had fun telling these stories with the way she used to repeat the names of some of the characters with emphasis. Tuala the King, Gagool the Wish, Captain John Good. Firstly, let me share what I call my carton room experience and how it shaped my views in my growing up years. Though of Ifaki Kiti origin, I grew up in Sapele and Lagos. The carton room was a room devoted to storing hundreds of cartons of Skol beer, either empty or full, because my mom used to be a beer distributor for an Ughelli-based company called Superbrew, and even ran a chemist on the side. At the same time, she was a nurse, a midwife with Sapele Health Center. The carton room was my secret hiding place. I loved to go there and do things privately. At just about 12, I already had a whole need for privacy. You see, the many cartons provided a million hiding places for my secret things. Not all the things I did there was bad. That was the room, sitting among the scattered cartons and bottles, where my innocence was shattered, reading hundreds of pulp fiction novels and plays. In that private world, nothing outside mattered. All I wanted to do was get up and run to the neighborhood bookshop to get the next James Alley Chase or some Pacesetter paperback. In my mind, I had an easy familiarity with America, England, Vietnam, Russia, and many of the great cities of the world. Even though I had never been there, I was a citizen of the world by virtue of my readings. My eventual adventure into African stories gave me a powerful sense of identity. From Chinua Achebe's Arrow of God to Ngugi wa Thiong'o's The River Between, Grain of Wheat, Kamala Laye's Weep Not Child to Aiki Uyama's The Beautiful Ones Are Not Yet Born. It was a wildfire of politics, mystery, romance, war, and peace, all in the mix. Mine was the story of a young man in formation. Let me quickly reveal that I also love to steal into Olympia Cinema, which used to be very famous in Sapele at the time. It was at the very end of Okpe Road, the most commercial road in Sapele, to watch Indian movies and other popular American movies. I also had a once-in-a-lifetime experience of watching the epic by Hubert Tugunde titled Jayesimi. This was in the early 80s. How does the 12-year-old finance this rich taste in books, music, and culture? I started by helping myself to leftover coins on the table, by the bedside, in the pockets. I became bolder in my desperation to finance my addiction. I would pop into Dad's room and rummage through his jacket. Sometimes I would watch Mommy's use milk tin, where she used to keep money from sales. Many times I was caught in the act, and then my parents, both of them, would unleash hell. I would get an insane flogging with the used fan belt of my father's car. It was terrible. But my mother could see that the beatings were not working, that the stone in my heart was gradually becoming a diamond, and that if nothing was done, this boy could go over the edge. One day she caught me red-handed, then walked into the carton room, looked straight into my eyes and asked, "My son, Aki, should I kneel down for you?" This struck me as very odd and I stiffened. I could see the tears well up in her eyes and it almost broke my heart in two. How can I cause her so much pain? This woman that I love so much. It was this time a different kind of fear, born of love and admiration. She continued, "Don't you know it is very wrong to steal? That's why I want to kneel down to beg you to stop. It will destroy your life if you don't stop." Pause and touch me. That's why I want to kneel and beg you to stop. Let me kneel. I was alarmed that she would do it. It suddenly occurred to me that this wasn't a game between me and my parents, that there was something much bigger at stake. It was my very first attempt to grasp the eternal conflict between utility and morality. Until this day, I can still hear the clanging as the coins dropped. "You must promise me never to do this again." And that was it. One amazing thing about her was she never doubted my word. And also, I never lied to her. Lessons learned. If your child lies to you, that means you must have been overreacting to his past errors. Take it easy, parents. Now, let's leave those childhood fantasies and talk about the reading culture. How many of our children these days crave for reading books and stories that can enrich their knowledge and broaden their views on global matters? Do we even have mentors who are willing to ignite the youth's passion for reading? Just like my mother did, I once read a sad commentary that if you want to hide an item from an African, you don't want him to find it, hide it inside the book, because he will never open to read it. So sad. That was not the norm in those good old days. How did we get here? How or when did that passion and quest for knowledge take flight in our lives as a nation? What do we need to do to bring back those cherished good old days when we compete with the number of books read and not with the number of social outings attended? Is it too late to change the narrative? No. We can bring back that reading culture. Our children must not only be told these stories, they must be made to read them. The will to make the difference is all we need. Our children certainly deserve a brighter and better tomorrow, not the good old days. I therefore join Sir Shemore Badijo in this collective drive towards a greater tomorrow. Thank you.
Good morning. I am Khadijat Balogun, and this is the news brief. The police command in Sokoto State has said that it has arrested 2 students of the Shehu Shagari College of Education, Sokoto, in connection with the killing of their female colleague, who was accused of making a social media post that blasphemed the Holy Prophet Muhammad. The command, in a statement issued by its spokesperson, ASP Sanusi Abubakar, said a distress call on the incident was received by the police that students were rioting over one female student named Deborah Samuel, a level 2 student who was forcefully removed from the security room where she was hidden by the school authorities and killed. The Sokoto State government confirmed the death and ordered the indefinite closure of the institution. Meanwhile, the Sultan of Sokoto, Sahad Abubakar, has condemned the killing of a female student over blasphemy. This was contained in a circular signed by the Secretary of the Sultanate, Sahidu Muhammad Masido. The council urged security agencies to bring the perpetrators of the dastardly acts to justice. The Sultanate Council urged all to remain calm and ensure peaceful coexistence among all people of the state and nation. The Edo State Police Command have paraded some persons who were found to be in possession of Iman's coal, parading the 3 persons along with others that were brought in for various levels of crimes at the State Command. The police public relations officer, Bello Kotongs, narrates how the suspects were arrested at different points. Speaking to Plus TV News crew, the suspects narrated their level of involvement in crimes they were brought in for.
Baba was the one that told me to bring it. When I bought it, that 40,000 naira, I now gave her extra 5,000 naira. Then I carried the head to this Baba asked.
He come to me for something that the life he's living is not like he wants some way to open for him. So that I now tell him that if he can be able to get a woman's call that, but it's not by killing you, you should go to market and get it, or you go to bury ground. Those people can get it for him. I say I will take him make a soap for him, which is he will be able to get blessing.
You beg me, my help and buy because I dey sell native things. Like my hot customer, they follow me, they buy the rest things.
Cultists who conspired among themselves to either kill, maimed, or cause body injury to members of the general public. The command under the leadership of the command CP Abu Tuyaro, FDC, deployed operatives to go after these killer cultists and arrested about 8 of them.
The Nigerian Army has disowned a portal purportedly announcing the list of successful candidates for the 83 regular recruit intake, describing it as fake. The Director, Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Oyem Wachuku, in a statement in Abuja, warned the public to be wary of online scammers. Wachuku stated that the said publication was fraudulent and the handiwork of online scammers who were hell-bent on defrauding unsuspecting members of the public. President Muhammadu Buhari has signed into law 3 bills aimed at improving the anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing proliferation financing framework in Nigeria. The bills are the Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Bill 2022, the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Bill 2022, and the Proceeds of Crime Recovery and Management Bill 2022. President Buhari described the bills as being in tandem with his administration's commitment to fight corruption and illicit financing activities. He mentioned that the new laws have provided enough punitive measures and containment strategies against abuses and compromises. He explained that the new law mandates the creation of dedicated accounts for the proceeds of crime and other confiscated assets in order to enhance the accountability of the process. The federal government and the Nigeria Interreligious Council have failed to convince the striking academic staff union of universities to call off their industrial action during a meeting called by the Chief of Staff to the President, Professor Agbola Gambari, and the Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige. The meeting, which was also co-chaired by the Sultan of Sokoto, Sahad Abubakar, and the Christian Association of Nigeria President, Dr. Shupo Ayokunle, could not persuade the ASU leaders to return to the classrooms while negotiations were ongoing to meet their demands. The federal government and NIREC had attempted to persuade the union to return to the classrooms during the closed technical session, promising that their demands would be met. But the ASUU leadership reportedly said the government had to meet part of their demands, which they could use in convincing their members to call off the ongoing strike. President Muhammadu Buhari has appealed to the Academic Staff Union of Universities to consider the plight of students and call off the ongoing strike. At the 19th National Productivity Day and conferment of the National Productivity Order of Merit Award, the president urged students in public tertiary institutions to be patient as the federal government strives to address the nagging issues in the nation's university system within the ambit of available resources. During the event, President Buhari conferred the 2019-2020 awards on 37 individuals and 11 organizations at the State House.
Mr. President, since the inception of the award in 1991, it has been bestowed on a total of 382 individuals and 97 organizations. Today, 37 individuals and 11 organizations have proved themselves worthy of this award.
It will be difficult to improve our economic performance and overall productivity without improving our educational system. Government notes the emergency situation in our educational system, with particular reference to the dearth of qualified and dedicated teachers to enhance the quality of teaching and learning at all levels of our educational system. To address these challenges and set our country on the path of industrialization where our educational system will produce the needed skills and manpower, this administration has taken measures to motivate teachers, including timely promotion and prompt payment of salaries.
And still on educational matters, meanwhile, youth in the southwest region of the country have berated the Senate President Ahmed Lawan over his position on the lingering crisis between Academic Staff Union of Universities and the federal government. The youth under the aegis of the Oodua Youth Coalition, OYC, described as faulty the statement credited to Lawan that the 2009 agreement between ASUU and federal government was unrealistic. They have vowed to barricade federal roads across southwest state if the government refused to yield to the demands of ASUU within 7 days. Speaking during a press briefing in Akure, the Ondo State capital, the national president of the group, Tayo Oluyi Akintade, maintained that the Senate was part of the agreement.
The refusal of the federal government to accede to this request has impacted negatively on tertiary education and future of Nigeria. We use this medium to inform the federal government that Yoruba youths are tired of staying at home. We thereby give the Nigerian government 7 days to reach a compromise with ASUU and return our students to campuses, or we shut down all federal roads in the West. We value education in Yoruba land, and we won't watch the effort of our heroes past go to waste.
We have seen that for years, these people do not actually listen to dialogues. They do not actually listen to people that come to them to ask questions. I think they understand that when things are turned upside down, they respond. And I think this is the approach we are taking. And I'm very, very sure, I'm confident that after this our plan to block all the federal roads in the southwest, I think they will respond to our request.
Meanwhile, another setback looms in the nation's education sector as members of the Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics, ASUP, prepare to embark on a warning strike. ASUP President Anderson Ezeibe stated that Polytechnic lecturers would withdraw their services in a 2-week industrial action with effect from Monday next week, a decision reached at the emergency meeting of the union's National Executive Council to review the response of the federal government to its ultimatum. In less than 24 hours, the All Progressives Congress APC will close the submission of expression of interest and nomination forms by aspirants vying for elective positions in the 2023 general elections. This is contained in the party's adjusted schedule of activities for the 2023 general elections. The sale of forms closed May the 12th, The APC intended that the screening for presidential aspirants would hold on Monday, May 23rd, while governorship primaries would take place on May 20th. The APC convention for the presidential primaries is billed to hold on May 30th and June 1st, according to the party. The governor of Ekiti State, Ayodele Fayemi, has visited Gombe State to woo the All Progressives Congress delegates ahead of its presidential primaries. Addressing the delegates at the Government House Banquet Hall, Fayemi promised to tackle joblessness, security, and the ailing electricity in the country. He described his mission to serve as a divine call to serve God and humanity.
Now, I have come to see the party leadership. I've engaged our party leadership. They've expressed their own concerns about what Gombe needs as a state in developing the oil frontiers, in ensuring that the solid minerals in the state is exploited properly with the input of the state in the process, and in promoting the need for the industrial development zone to be fully developed with a special economic status. That is the least to expect from a progressive developmental state. So I wasn't surprised that the leadership of our party in Gombe focused on what Gombe can benefit from my presidency, if inshallah God approves of the journey that I've embarked on.
And earlier at the banquet hall, Governor Yahya described Fayemi as overqualified for the position, listing dexterity, coordination, vigor, and energy as rare qualities that stood him out among other APC aspirants. The deputy governorship candidate of the Action Democratic Party, ADP, Idowu Afuye, has joined the All Progressives Congress barely 4 weeks to the Ekiti State governorship election. Afuye said his decision to return to the APC was hinged largely on the absence of internal democracy within his former party, ADP.
In the ADP, democracy has another definition from the old times expression of government of the people, by the people, and for the people. It is a one-man show. No internal democracy, no genuine agenda, no clear vision, no mission. The governorship candidate is trader, a shopper, and a lover of money. As I am talking, my exit from the party, I confirm to you that the candidate is looking for the highest bidder. In fact, she has approached All Progressive Congress, APC. All this, she was doing without carrying me and the leadership of the party along. Before she destroyed my political career, I have to decide to move.
Attempt to get the reaction of the flag bearer of the ADP in the coming election was unsuccessful as at the time of filing this report. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo and other stakeholders in the African project have identified lack of training as one of the factors hindering good leadership in Africa. This was disclosed at the formal launch of Gotni Leadership Training Center in Abuja. Our correspondent Emmanuel Ehijene report as presented from our studio.
It was the launch of the GOTNI Leadership Training Center in Abuja as dignitaries added color to the event. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo was the guest of honor and in his usual sagacious demeanor spoke glowingly about the center. He had more to talk about. Obasanjo bemoaned the leadership deficiency in Africa.
Leadership can be taught. It can be acquired, so that as you can teach anything else, and anything that can be taught can be learned. So if leadership can be taught, it can be learned. So people must be ready to teach leadership, and people must be ready to learn leadership.
Other dignitaries also spoke in similar vein, added that African countries need such training institution replicated in their domains to enable the continent address leadership deficiency and reposition the continent for growth, productivity, and progress.
We have agreed that as a country we haven't done well in leadership. Our leadership stock is very thin. We have not had consistent, enlightened, visionary, competent, courageous, and leadership of integrity that should take our country from the third world situation, from a stagnated, poverty-ridden nation, to a nation that is globally competitive.
We need to promote leadership. And leadership means how people can be engaged properly and to manage the country in a very efficient manner. And this not can be possible if we don't engage our young people, if we cannot help them to upgrade their skills in terms of management.
The founder of the center, Mr. Linus Okorie, said the institute has so far trained leaders in some public and private institutions.
The investment that we are making today, some of it might not be speaking right now in the political space, but in the organizations, we're already seeing stories of transformation and change going on. All I want is a critical mass of human beings investing in this journey, where we can grow leadership from high school up to the political level. In fact, now that we're in the political period, anybody who wants to seek a political office at whatever level, it's important that they come and sit down and understand what leadership is about.
No doubt, the place of training remains pertinent in growth and development.
And moving on to other parts of Africa, Sudanese demonstrators are back on the streets to protest against the military in power and ask for the implementation of a civil government. Large crowds could be seen around the presidential palace in Khartoum, responding to calls from several dissident groups in the most important turnout since the holy month of Ramadan. The army took power last October, putting an end to great hopes of a democratic transition after months of a popular uprising, which hosted autocratic ruler Omar al-Bashir. And outside Africa, Congress leaders have held a moment of silence outside the Capitol building, commemorating 1 million COVID-19 deaths in the United States. The event was led by the House of Representatives Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who was joined by Right Reverend Marianne Edgar Bort. The United States was said to have reached more than 1 million COVID-19 deaths, crossing a once unthinkable milestone about 2 years after the first cases upended everyday life. The loss represents about 1 death for every 327 Americans, or more than the entire population of San Francisco or Seattle.
Gracious and merciful God, behind each number is a name of a person beloved. Far too many taken much too soon, and sometimes alone. As we once again entrust them to your gracious care and the mystery that lies beyond this life, help us to believe that you hold them safely in your love. Deal mercifully with all who grieve. Forgive us the things done and left undone that might have saved those we lost. Help us to accept what we cannot change.
And in business news, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Godwin Emefiele, says that Africa needs to finance our own growth. Emefiele, who said this at the Africa Finance Corporation Live Infrastructure Solutions Summit held in Abuja, said that over the past 2 years, Africa had suffered crises, each with profound implications for the economies of the continent. Emefiele, represented by his deputy and board chairman of AFC, Dr. Kingsley Obiora, said the COVID-19 crisis with its lockdown triggered off recession in most parts of the world, and that the crisis injected a fresh urgency for Africa's rise in self-reliance on the manufacturing and processing of essential products. And in entertainment news, Nigerian showbiz minstrel Charles Oputa, popularly known as Charlie Boy, has caught the attention of directors and film producers in the United States to tell a story in a movie setting about how he dedicated his life and love for Nigeria. American film mogul Mike Styles, with credit from box office movies such as Spider-Man, Transformers, and State of Play at a news conference in Lagos, disclosed plans to produce Charlie Boy's biopic. Styles, who is also attributed to highly successful television shows like Power and Empire, said that part of the project was to be able to breach 2 walls in the movie industry. And in sport, Flying Eagles forward Hamad Abdullahi has recovered and is recuperating in hospital following a scary incident during Nigeria-Burkina Faso game at the Wafu B Championship in Niamey, Niger Republic. The former Golden Eaglet, who scored Nigeria's second goal against cup holders and African champions Ghana after coming off the bench, was rushed to the hospital after suffering a head injury during the 2-2 draw with the junior Italians at the State General Seni Conche. The 2-2 draw sustained Nigerians' leadership of Group B, and the 7-time African champions will play in the semi-finals as group winners should Burkina Faso fail to defeat Ghana by up to 3 goals on Saturday. And Rafael Nadal was knocked out of the Italian Open after the 21 times major winner was beaten 1-6, 7-5, 6-2 by Canadian Denis Shapovalov in the last 16 of the Italian Open. Nadal had a solid start, but the 35-year-old struggled physically towards the end of the contest, raising doubts over his fitness ahead of the French Open, which he has won a record of 13 times. The Spaniard, who has endured a string of injuries during a career spanning more than 2 decades, dominated the opening set with his brilliant return of serves.
No, I am not injured. I am a player living with an injury. That's it. No. It's nothing new. No, it's something that is there, and unfortunately, my day by day is difficult. Honestly, even like this, I am trying hard, but of course, it's difficult for me to accept the situation sometimes, no, because it's it can be frustrating that a lot of days I can't practice the proper way, and then today at half the second set starts the thing, and then wasn't playable for me. No, that's it. No, well done for Dennis. No. Sorry, I came straight away. No, I don't want to take away any credit from Dennis that he deserved, probably the way that he lost his match with me in Australia this year and last year here. Then today is for him. So well done for him. That's it.
And that's the news brief. For more stories, please follow us on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. I am Khadijat Balogun. Many thanks for watching.
There is no voting on social media.